by AWS has been released, and single game tickets are on sale now. That's every epic showdown, every classic rivalry, every primetime game. 17 games for all 32 teams. Visit NFL.com/tickets to purchase tickets today. The NFL Ticket Network, including Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, and Sports Illustrated Tickets, are the official marketplaces for NFL tickets.
What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Quarterback extensions, the topic of conversation after 21 teams reported for OTAs yesterday. One of those quarterbacks was Tua Tagovailoa, present and accounted for, no holdout, but no contract either. The two sides have been working on a new deal, but nothing imminent yet. Tua in the final year of his rookie deal, playing out the fifth-year option. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags also working on an extension. Head coach Doug Peterson says there's only so much he can do to expedite the process, but does admit the earlier the deal gets done, the better for both parties. Those are the two quarterbacks from the 2020 draft class waiting to be paid. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Love have all reached extensions with their own teams. And Adam Schefter reporting, talking about extensions. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins still not signed his franchise tender and is not expected to by next week. That would make him ineligible to report back to the Bengals in time for their OTAs next week. Higgins won't be able to rejoin the team until he signs. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday morning, beginning a brand new 4 hours of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, always brewed up by 8th and Rose, 615-737-1045. Hey, you jump in. 21 different OTAs have begun around the NFL. Today, the media gets to congregate at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We break down Titans OTAs this morning. The latest out of Knoxville with Austin Price at 8:20. Chaz Lanier Mania continuing for the Vols. Ron Slade gives us the latest at 9:20 on that front as well. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. Tuesday, May the 21st. What's going on? Good morning.
What's going on?
Good people. Good morning, man.
Come on, let's go.
Good morning. It's a good morning to have a great morning.
Good people.
Yeah.
Good morning. I appreciate
You had to work
that,
into
Will.
that.
Appreciate
Put
that.
the jumper cables on.
I
Let's
know,
go.
man.
Because he's
What we
wearing
doing?
a Yankees jersey
That
today.
might have something
have
to do
something
with
to
it.
do with it.
Who knows at this
Get on that
point,
Braves
right?
jersey.
We'll see if they pay Juan Soto here in a little bit, man. At the gym this morning, of course, speaking about the Vols, man, good times, real good times. Somebody was like, hey, the Vols have won 3 SEC tournaments. I was like, yes, the first ever to do that, okay?
Right.
But the other thing behind that was like, this is all fine and dandy until we figure out what we're going to do in football season, okay? Like, everything is peachy right now in the offseason, but I love it. I always say celebrate the great moments because when it's bad, boy, there is no getting under that, okay? Getting from under that. So, I'm happy to be watching them do some good things right now as SEC tournament's about to ramp up a little bit.
I was going to say, enjoy the moment, man. And then when football season hits, like you said, you got to get to that point where y'all want to be.
Yeah.
But it's trending in the right direction. And the biggest thing is you guys have a quarterback. So that's good.
Got a quarterback. Hey, we feel more stable about that one in Knoxville. Then we got to figure out what's going to happen with Levis as he's talked about how great his offseason has been. So, solid. Travel starts up this weekend.
Let's go.
When did it ever stop?
I know. I was like, wait, what month
Travel
did you have
baseball,
off?
for those who are unfamiliar, for the children of Ramon Foster. Foster children.
Travel baseball starts up this weekend, which is super unique, man. Got a 15-year-old, so it gets a little bit more serious with, okay, if he takes it serious. So, of course, recruiting starts early. The conversation about college, like, I don't even have a freshman anymore, y'all. I got a sophomore.
Just wait, because after this, it just rocks.
I've heard as a parent, whenever you put them in a car, you probably won't see them half as much anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sophomore year is like the year everyone cares about the least.
I agree.
Because when you're in middle school, you're either in 6th grade, starting middle school. 7th grade, you're waiting to be an 8th grader, so you're like one step away from the last step of middle school. Obviously, 8th graders, you're kind of the seniors of middle school. Yeah. Freshman year, it's all new. Juniors, you're like one step away from senior year, and you're doing college stuff.
Yep.
In senior year, obviously. Sophomore year is just kind of like, all right, we just kind of exist too.
It is. My oldest said something to me. He's like, yeah, I'm not just a freshman anymore. I'm not the new guy. I'm a part of the school. I was like, yeah, that is kind of what the sophomore year does for you.
It's forgettable, though.
It is one of those, all right, well, I belong here now. Let me make sure I can make it to senior year. Yes, I never thought of it like that, man.
Because if you think of the things that I guess stood out in your high school years, I can name freshman year, junior year, senior year.
I can.
I'm really now thinking about it. I don't know if I can name anything my sophomore year. Like, what stood out about my sophomore year?
Junior year was significant because recruiting was real then. Like, all the offers started coming in. So it's like, yes, I can officially be recruited. That's how I timestamp it is, okay, yes, to your point, in sophomore year, I was busy chasing behind my brother. Nobody was just like, it was his school at that point in time. He was a senior. But you're right. Sophomore year is you're in purgatory of, all right, let me become like junior. And I never, ever put it together. Like, although I will say, I'm not sure about y'all, but we've been prepping our youngest Miles for the 7th grade. 7th grade middle school, I think classwork is the hardest. I thought of all grades, 7th grade was probably the most challenging grade. Because it's not like that's the first step. They make you take school a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I had an honors, like, we did everything in pairs. It was really weird. Like, our middle school, we did like duos, like our teachers.
Yeah.
And I decided to try to do the honors that year, which was good and great. But you're right. The curriculum was a lot harder than I had anticipated in the 7th grade.
Yeah. World history got me in the 7th grade.
Did it?
It did. I hated world
Math
history.
always got me.
Math I was fine
Stupid
with
math.
until I got trigonometry. No, until I got geometry. Geometry got me. It did. That's the reason I had to go to summer school.
Stupid geometry.
Terrible.
Outlaws in summer school.
I know. No, I made the best grade ever in summer school, though. It was
in geometry.
I made an A in summer school. I made a D during the school year. Crazy. I think I finished off with a C at the end. By the time my average was over with, I finished with a C to pass. That's when I really thought I was on it. Well, guess what year that was? Sophomore year.
Yeah. I got 2 C's ever, and you would have thought the world was ending.
It was.
In my family, but that's okay.
Yeah. What was that? Well, you remember what they were?
One of them I know was AP Chemistry, senior year of high school, which I do not recommend. And the other one I think was just Algebra 2. Yeah. It's like the honors Algebra 2 class. I dropped down to all the regular math classes after that.
I'm glad to know that. Ramon seems to be a wizard at math.
No,
but I will be the first to admit I do not like math.
You don't like it at all?
And I do use it, obviously, in this career sometimes with numbers, but not to this point where it's algebra or trig.
Yeah. See, everyone always says, I was really smart. I just didn't test well. I was the opposite. I was not very smart. I just tested very, very well. I don't know what it was.
I don't know.
My girlfriend and I have this conversation all the time where she's like, I would just spend hours in the library. I think I stepped foot in the library 2 times my 4 years at the University of Tennessee.
It makes me so
Maybe
bad.
2 total times of just it was just to print something.
Yeah.
Like I went to the library to study 1 time in my 4 years of going to college. Because when you're an athlete, you have the Thornton Center.
You do.
So you have mandatory tutoring and study hours at the Thornton Center where you have to swipe in and get a certain amount of study hours while your vol card is swiped in there. Oh. And then in a fraternity, you have mandatory house hours and study hours there too. So it was same. And then by that point, I was a junior. And you're not going to library as a junior. Journalism school is so easy. We do not do a lot of work when we were in college. You just do practical work in the field you want to do, and then you're good. Then you just enter the world, and you're like, okay, you're fine. You'll make it.
To your point about the library, I didn't like going to it because I like studying in private with my music on and stuff. But I also was a person that had a gift and a curse. I could not study for a test and do fine. That was my biggest issue. So actually developing study habits, I had 0. Writing down and recalling stuff, I just take the test and do well at it.
Oh, really?
It was weird.
I
got
had to
by.
write and recall.
But I can also say I got by in school. Not got by.
Right.
I can make high B's with low effort. That's terrible.
I love that.
I know it's terrible. You ought to hear the way I go with my kids.
I love that.
Yes,
with low effort.
Saying all these things before the kids are up.
That's great. Yeah.
Last day today too.
Programs rated.
Nice.
Yeah, school is out after tomorrow.
That's right. I guess it is the week before Memorial Day.
It is. Yeah, parents. I know. Ship them off.
By
Our
the way,
final assembly is usually today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have you're not that guy at some point whenever it comes up.
I got-
Speaking of graduation, something that happened.
I got a couple.
Not good.
I almost sent you guys a story this morning as I was on the Stairmaster losing my life, and gaining life at the same time. You hear me? Dying on the Stairmaster in the morning, y'all.
Do you sweat a lot on that thing?
Big time. I had to hose it down with the spray bottle today.
All right.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm a high hygiene person in the gym, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I hate other people sweat like that now. Oh my God, some people are disgusting.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up this morning, Austin Price at 8:20 as always every Tuesday. Ron Slay at 9:20 as well. I saw Tennessee students, one of whom I know, had painted the rock "Welcome Home, Chaz" for the beginning of Chaz Lanier's official visit that started today. So perhaps Ron Slay and Austin Price both can give us the latest on what is going on with that. OTA is getting continued for the Titans today. They were on the practice field yesterday. We will be open to the media today and able to talk with all of the players, most of the players, coaches, as Buck Rising says, the Twitter thirst traps of Titans practice. Routes on air never looked so beautiful when you haven't watched Routes on air in a couple of months. We'll see that later on today. And coming up, let's dive into some of the starting jobs that are up for grabs. What is the interesting position battle of OTAs, of training camp? And Brian Callahan talks with The Athletic about play calling and some interesting facets of that in a recent interview as well. 615-737-1045. We'll dive into that next.
It's Ramon Foster here for United Structural Systems. Listen, if you got mold growing, you can breathe easier with USS Mold Treatment and turn your crawl space into a healthy space, all right? They have 3 letters for you, RTE, and that means remove, treat, and encap. Remove the active growth. Treat the area where growth occurs and encapsulate the crawl space. USS doesn't just remove the growth because they'll never rid your home of mold if you don't get to the root of the problem and take steps to prevent it, mold from returning. USS RT Mold Treatment does just that. Don't wait, though, because as you know, if you walk outside today, humidity is rising. So call now and get $500 off USS Mold Treatment RTE Solutions. Again, you can reach out to them because they are here to help for all your foundation and waterproofing needs. You can visit them at USSTN.com.
RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast, kicking off the show on a Tuesday morning. Welcome in. 615-737-1045. Hey, you join Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, myself, Will Bowling, and our esteemed producer, Robert Walsh. How many Titans starting jobs are realistically up for grabs this offseason? Buck Rising talked about this a little bit yesterday on his show. I thought it was an interesting conversation for us to get into as well. As you look across the offense and the defense, how many legitimate position battles are happening this offseason?
How many right guard, right tackle? If we consider Tyler Boyd and Traylon Burks in competition, that's 3. Slot wide receiver position, a wide receiver 3.
Do you consider that a competition?
I will, yes, 100%. Because here's the thing, with the new guy coming in and Tyler Boyd, and you're trying to find a spot for Traylon Burks, I think that one's also a competition. It's a matter of, one, how open of a competition is to Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz for the offense, and how those two dudes, Tyler Boyd and Traylon Burks, compete against one another too. Mm-hmm. Because again, if we think the top 2 dogs are D-Hop and Calvin Ridley, well, we got to figure out who's number 3. And at that point, will you share number 3 roles, or will there be a 3 and a 4, or 3A and 3B? So, yeah, I do consider that one to be a position of competition to figure out who's going to be wide receiver 3, 100% will.
Right now, I'm looking on the depth chart for ESPN, and Traylon Burks is listed behind Calvin Ridley, obviously on the outside. Yeah. But I wouldn't disagree with you. I think there's a chance you could compete with Tyler Boyd for that slot position, but you also have to put Kyle Phillips in there. Whether you like it or not, that's the spot where he's going to belong, if he belongs on this team at all. So you definitely need to throw Kyle Phillips' name in that mix. And then you're right tackle, right guard for sure. I think that there is a mixture of guys that we can throw in there. And I know coming up a little later in the show, we're going to discuss maybe those positions in specifics of who could win that job. Excuse me, my voice is cracking this morning.
Choked up, talk about linebacker.
It makes me choked up, guys. And then I think inside linebacker, I think we have a reasonable, meaning to probably say this is something that you can say at least at the start of the season could be up for grabs, because I know that all of us would like to see Cedric Gray, the rookie, get one of those spots, but I don't think you can count out Jack Gibbons at this point just because he's been here. We know he has the smarts to do it. He might not be the more athletic linebacker, but I do feel like he could start the season.
I will also say to your Kyle Phillips conversation or point, I almost see him outside guy looking in at this point, though.
So you don't even think he can compete?
I just think it's going to take a lot. Mm-hmm. Considering the athletes that they have in front of him with Tyler, and of course, I'd love to be wrong for him because, again, he's specifically a slot guy. It's just the way that it's been somewhat described by Brian Callahan that, hey, we're going to move guys around. And the fact that he mentioned Traylon and moving to different places, well, there's only one place really where Kyle can play. And it sucks. Mm-hmm. It sucks sometimes to be in that spot, to only be a one-trick pony. But I see him as it stands right now, though, Kayla, as a guy that's more outside than it is in as far as competition. But again, if Tyler Boyd makes it through camp, or if he doesn't make it through camp, then, hey, next man up is the way I look at that spot.
Yeah, and you're right. This is his last. I think this is Kyle Phillips' last chance at proving anything. Yep. And it's hard for me to believe making the roster, because that would also mean he'd probably have to play a significant role in special teams. And I just feel like Jaquan Jackson could end up evolving into that specifically as a special teams guy in terms of returning.
Yeah.
And then the one other one I'll put out there, just because there hasn't been an additional safety signing, guys, and that will probably happen. But I'll say for right now, the other safety spot, right? And you've got Elijah Molden as the starter, but I just don't know if that is going to be the case moving forward.
So Brian Callahan, of course, has spoken a lot about Traylon Burks. If that is a position battle at wide receiver 3 between Tyler Boyd and Traylon Burks, this was Brian Callahan the couple of days before Boyd was officially signed, talking about both of those wide receivers.
Not official yet. Hasn't signed the papers in general, just to put that out there to start. That'll be official sooner than later. But not quite yet. But Tyler is a slot receiver. That's what he does. That's where he's made his money. That's where his production has come from. He's a fantastic slot receiver on top of it. Most importantly, I think he's a awesome addition to the locker room. He's a great human being, great worker, and everything about him is what we want to be about. And so to add him is really is an impactful add for us, and excited about it. As far as Traylon's role, he's going to play everything. We've told him that from the beginning. He's going to play inside. He's going to play outside, and he's going to carve out a role for himself. And I had him come up today and do the break after practice because his work that he's put in has been really impressive. Just to give you guys some context, Tuesdays are our harder days of our 4-day work week. It's a really heavy day, and so the load on the players is high. And what I mean by that is both acceleration, max speeds, and yardage. And so Traylon, I think, ran 3,591 yards on Tuesday, and then hit our top speed and team-leading top speed at 22.6 miles an hour in practice. So super impressive workload and performance. And so he's had a really good offseason. I'm excited about what he can bring for us. I meant when I said that the other day that I think he's going to have a role to play.
To me, I think there's a battle at wide receiver 3, but I don't think there's a battle at slot.
That's fair.
Tyler Boyd is a slot. I think Traylon Burks is a gadget, package, deep threat. He's Khalif Raymond, but twice the size of Khalif Raymond in some ways, who can do some different things and can do a lot more, in my opinion. I don't think slot is a position battle. I think wide receiver 3 is a position battle.
I roll with you there.
If you want to classify those as different things.
Yeah, and yeah, 100%. Again, I think when I mentioned it comes down to who's going to get the next amount of reps, though, too. So you're right. And also, we could listen slowly to that as he spoke about Tyler Boyd. I'm sure y'all were listening. We've heard this before. He loves him some Tyler Boyd.
Oh, yeah,
he does.
You hear it come through right there.
Certainly does.
I didn't realize, but he said this is who we want the Tennessee Titans to be, is what Tyler Boyd is. He mentioned the locker room, how great of a human being. Yeah, that scared the hell out of me. I'm going to be real, Bert.
If you weren't awake, you are now.
Bro, I can't get the yee-yee call for that. Me and people in traffic are scared right now. Hit it one more time. Okay, all right.
That was Ron Slay reacting to
the
Brian Callahan interview, if you did not hear that the first time.
But he loves him some Tyler Boyd, which is, again, you have these conversations with people about how this signing happened and everything, and he wanted to be here from all the conversations I've had. And there was more money in other places, and he chose to come here to play for Brian Callahan and just his staff.
I think it's interesting, too, real quick, bringing up Traylon Burks in this wide receiver number 3 if we're going to separate the slot position, because I know Nick Westbrook-Akine is not
I love him,
everybody's cup of tea.
I'm a fan.
Get it, right? He's not the energy drink. But I will say this, he's that coffee every morning that you pour in there and it gets you at least through the day. And I think that...
Oh, don't do him like that, Kayla.
Well,
you called him some old granny
thing.
coffee.
Now,
you had me at
that's what
first.
I drink.
No,
Hey,
you drinking the Green Goddess right now.
I'm not drinking the Green Goddess.
That is not a cheap cup of coffee over there. Don't do my dude like
but
that, man.
But there's not anything in it. It's just...
Well, he just got a new deal,
Straight
so I'm gonna push back a little bit for the integrity.
But that's why
okay,
I'm bringing him up.
I'm standing by my guy right there. Okay,
but that's why I'm bringing him up. You didn't let me finish because I am saying sometimes the more, undercover, more boring. Maybe you don't have the flash about you. Sometimes they're the ones that you need on your team. That solid piece. Like I said, the cup of coffee that gets me through the day. Not much added to it.
Yeah.
So don't count Nick Westbrook-Akine out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, though, where does he fit, though? Now that we're bringing all these other names up, where does he fit?
Yeah.
Right?
He's a team. Well, never let Kayla describe me. Okay, she called him boring. She called him a cheap cup of coffee this morning. And I'm like,
no,
Lord.
I just said,
at least he made it in the cup.
He doesn't.
Some guys getting poured out on the side of the room.
Look.
Yesterday's coffee is getting put in the bushes. At least Nick Westbrook-Akine made it in the mug.
Calvin Ridley has the stevia. He has the vanilla. He has all the stuff added to it.
He's got the chocolate syrup.
Yeah, NWI is just to pour me the cup.
Come on, no.
Straight up.
That man is a hot cup of tea. You could have gave him green tea, man. You said that man was boring. I can't wait to talk to him. And like, hey, don't trust Kayla out here, man.
He knows he kind of is.
So Is running back a position battle this offseason for the Titans?
Yes.
I
Why?
don't think so. Go ahead.
For the starter. I think it is. I think it's unfair for us to assume and the outside to assume that just because they signed Tony Pollard and he's a name and he's been on the Dallas Cowboys roster and he had a really good year the year before last, I don't think it's fair to say now you come to this team where you're the new guy, technically. And yes, you are more of the veteran on this team, but who's to say he's the starter? And I think it'll be weird how we label these two because they are very similar. It is not a Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears type of duo. These are guys that are similar in what they do. So maybe there won't be necessarily a number 1, 2, but there has to kind of be, right? On a depth chart, at least, if we want to get technical, there's always a 1 and a 2. And right now, I think people assume Pollard is that 1. And that's okay if you want to assume that, but I think he has actually a little more proven the do than Tajay Spears does. I mean, look at what Tony did last year. Okay, he was okay, but then without Ezekiel Elliott, I think you saw some drop in his game. Now, he did go through some injuries, but that's still things you need to prove the next year that you're the guy you were 2 years ago. So I actually think that's a battle for at least that top spot.
He only had 1 less or 2 less yards last year than he did in 2022 in 1 more game, but he was excellent when he was healthy.
Yes.
Tony Pollard last year.
He was when he was healthy.
I don't think it's a competition at all. I think he's RB1 with a great Robin right beside him, simply because $21.7 million. They paid him to come here.
Yeah,
and
I get that part.
It's really, I know the conversation is they will split and you hopefully have even amount of reps, but he's a starter. And I think they work as a tandem more than hey, this is my job. But I do think, depending on situations, Tony Pollard's going to get the lion's share of the rushes, and they'll split as much as they possibly can. If it's 60-40, with Tony getting 60% of the reps and Tajay getting 40%, that's a dub. But
that's great.
Competition? Nah, I don't think so. It's Tony's. Again, you got to follow the money in situations like this, especially new team, new coach, new offense, and they are very similar. Again,
right.
In the fans' eyes, I think they're even. But as far as the team goes, yeah, it's Tony's job for the most part.
Also, that 3 spot, I legitimately think that could be a battle between Hassan Haskins. Who do we got?
Hassan and who is
Julius
Chestnut.
And Dylan Johnson, who's the undrafted.
Jabari Small, the other undrafted there as well.
Small,
I think that's an interesting conversation at some point.
But to me, it's between Chestnut and Hassan Haskins. I want to see what that looks like, especially with Hassan getting. I mean, he hasn't
played for a year.
He's on free lunch right now at this point.
I think the starting running back job is kind of like Rick Barnes and his starting lineup. Doesn't matter who starts the game; it matters who finishes the game.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything either of those guys can do to win that starting job this offseason, because we have heard Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan consistently say about the running backs, we're going to ride with the hot hand. Well, are you really going to use preseason games to tell you who has the hot hand coming out of camp? Probably not. I don't see Tony Pollard playing any more than a couple of series in preseason or in training camp and live reps. You're not going to get live reps in training camp. So at that point, from what we have been told by the coaches, those two are going to totally split reps to me, and then whoever's playing better gets the important possession at the end of the game. Yeah. And I can't wait to break that down, because you know that if they put in Pollard or Spears and they don't look great on a pivotal drive, the first call we'll get the next morning is, well, the other one should have been in there. And that'll be a fun Monday morning quarterback to play throughout the season. But I don't think there is a starter. I think they are legitimately 50-50. I think they are 1A, 1B. And I think they spent the money on Pollard because they got so much money that you might as well spend it.
Oh.
And he was sitting out there and fits into what they want to do.
That's a great problem to have.
It's who finishes the game, not who starts the game. Yeah. For me, that's who your quote unquote starting running back is on that given day.
But what you look at, though, is something that we didn't. I mean, we saw a little bit of it last year. Like, we knew Derek was a downhill bruiser. By the way, saw a lot of people yesterday in their fields about that.
Wearing purple at OTAs in Baltimore. That's right.
Yeah, I saw people say, I'm not crying here. I'm not mad here.
We tweeted it out, and Bam responded to the show account and said, only Bert would send this out. It was not Bert that sent that out.
It was not Bert, man. But what you got out of Tajay last year, you saw his bursts he's had in between the line of scrimmage from tackle to tackle. It is unique having two guys now that can do that and also bounce outside. Derek could too, but you somewhat saw it coming.
Yeah.
And I don't want to trash Derek in any kind of way with how effective he was here. But, of course, you roll 22 out there, the entire team shows up at the line of scrimmage. I think now you diversify that a little bit. So I'm of the mindset of Wills right now as it pertains to the running back. Is there a competition? No, not really. It's dependent upon who has the best day. And the best day may be who's the better pass catcher. Mm-hmm. If you mean to tell me your top running back on game day gets you 95 yards and a touchdown and 20 on the ground, that's a great day. And the backup gets a total of 80 total yards. That's still a really good day from your running backs. It diversifies this offense, numerous ways over.
I think that when you look at diversifying it, and you're right, with Derrick Henry, and again, Derrick Henry was great here at everything that he did, but the pass catching ability, I think it was more like, okay, you knew what was going to happen, right? And he had to really work at that. That's something that I remember in practice every single year. He would be doing extra things in terms of his ability to pass catch. It wasn't natural. When you look at Tajay Spears and you look at Tony Pollard, I feel like those are two guys who it's more natural for them in that kind of a role, and which makes it way more exciting for Brian Callahan than to diversify things. And like Will Levis said last week, this is going to be a confusing offense. Not for me, but it's going to be confusing for the opposing defenses because you've got so many options.
And speaking of those offensive play calls and decisions to make in game, I thought Brian Callahan with Robert Mays of The Athletic on the Athletic Football Show over the weekend had a very interesting answer on play calling and a bit more candor in this answer than maybe we've heard from him in the past on calling plays.
Yeah, there is a difference. I'm not going to be dismissive of the difference. There is a difference when you're trying to manage the game as the head coach and call it. I think obviously seeing Zach do it, the process that we went through, which is why I spent a lot of time hiring people on offense that I have a lot of trust in, because I think that's an important part. Nick Holtz obviously is a huge role in helping me get the call sheet set, along with Bo's input with the quarterback. That's sort of how we worked in Cincinnati too, with Zach and me and Dan Pitcher. That circle tends to do a lot of the passing game with it. We had a veteran line coach in Frank Pollock. Obviously, we have my dad here, and I don't think there's many better than him. And so
I think that's fair.
He helps set the run game. He has a lot of the input in how we're going to set it up and call it. And then obviously between me, Bo, and Nick, formulating that process, how we're going to do it doesn't have to be the same as we did in Cincinnati, but how we end up doing it here is going to be a huge help. I'll lean on those guys quite a bit. Just like Zach did with me and Dan in Cincinnati, with everyone has their particular areas of expertise, and I trust those guys, and I'm going to have to. And there might be a time where I say, Nick, what do you like here? And just like Zach would do with me, and I'd give him a play, and he'd call it, and we keep moving. And so there's a collaborative approach to the play calling process. And by the time you get to the game, if you're doing it right, you've sort of set the table.
You've pre-sequenced stuff.
Most of the things are and I think then we're play callers in the league, the great ones, the Shanahans and the McVays and the guys that really separate themselves as play callers. They're great at what happens in game and how to adjust. And I think that's where I'm green. I'm a rookie in that regard when it comes to that part. I've done it as a.
Is there anything you can do in advance that kind of sets you up for success there? Or is it just something that's trial and error? You just try to work through and anticipate and have a plan and what's the plan? Where do you pivot? What do you think is going to potentially happen? And I thought that was the one thing about like Gary Kubiak with the year I spent with him in Denver was he was probably the most natural play call, like just had a real great feel for when to pivot.
There it is. Brian Callahan. I think interesting insight there into the play calling process.
Can I say I think he's giving out a lot of information right there. Almost too much.
You want less?
I wonder how the fan base feels with him saying like, yes, I am green with play calling and decision making and like situations. I thought
it's
that
not
was
scripted, right?
But it's not scripted. He gave you a real raw answer right there. And of course, and I thought about this on the way in because I knew we were having this conversation, is how comfortable are you with him saying that out loud, knowing that there's going to be some situational football that pops up that he ain't going to have the answer for. But he said, of course, he's got a staff in place. His dad's been around and just the way he leaned on others. But we will have a moment this year where as he said, his greenness will show up.
615-737-1045 is our number. Moving on, there was a Weird story on the internet yesterday. We talked a little bit about racing, the fight that happened in NASCAR yesterday. One of the weirdest races that you have ever seen happen in any context coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Have y'all ever had a contractor come into your house and it takes forever? You feel like you've wasted your entire day. You know, you got cookouts coming, you got vacation coming, the kids are about to be home for the summer, so the AC has to be on point, and you got to wait there all day for a contractor to show up, and then it's at the end of the day. No, you don't have to worry about that with Hiller. You don't have to camp out all day. Whenever you call them, they give you a time, they'll be there, give you a 15-minute warning whenever they're going to be there, and they'll handle everything. And also this month, you can be a happy camper with Hiller with 0 interest financing for 24 months on select HVAC systems, generators, and tankless water heaters. Or take advantage of Hiller's $99 drain cleaning special. Take care of your home systems before the peak summer temperatures hit. Visit happyhiller.com today for details.
One of the weirdest stories on the internet yesterday is something I genuinely do not believe happened. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, brewed up by 8th and Rose, 615-737-1045. Fremont, Ohio, an Ohio postal worker was reportedly caught passing a Ford Mustang at 105 miles per hour during a race. According to newly released police body cam footage obtained by WTVG television, an officer pulled over a marked USPS van, which was allegedly going over 100 miles per hour. The officers heard asking, "Is there a reason you were going over 100?" The driver responded, "I didn't realize I was going that fast." The officer explains that a Mustang took off, caught his attention, then a USPS truck blew by him. The craziest part of this entire story is that he wasn't even arrested. There was no more punishment other than a $50 fine for a traffic violation and a verbal warning for racing. Do you believe that a USPS truck is capable of driving 105 miles per hour?
Yes.
He got that souped up.
Yes. I'm glad he didn't take him to jail, man. Hey, packages got to be delivered. It was probably his personal mailman from his neighborhood or her, okay? Male woman. Legitimately. And I love the explanation of the USPS driver. Well, I didn't know I couldn't do that. That's essentially what he told him. It is the best thing going right now to me. And my only hope in this situation is the police officer gave him a warning and a $50 fine for this particular reason. If you out here getting passed up by USPS vans, it was a van, I think, like a minivan, and you out here with a V6 Mustang with loud pipes, good. I'm tired of y'all running up and down these streets with these V6s with this terrible exhaust sound behind it, okay? Get a V8 for Christ's sake, okay?
You should have to turn in your Ford Mustang for a Ford Focus if you get outraced by a USPS truck.
100%,
or a Ford Escort. Those were the little bugs back in the day.
Goodness, what is wrong with you people? Go get a Ford Focus out here getting beat by USPS, man. Ford
What's
Flex.
the point of a Mustang?
Yeah.
And my goodness, the guy didn't even have enough competitive blood in his system to want to beat the USPS truck?
I don't know if the Ford Mustang guy is the one who's really at fault here, though, to be fair.
No, he would. He would.
All I'll say is sometimes those bigger vehicles, I used to drive a van full of kids when I'd come back for the summer. I was a camp counselor. I'm telling y'all, those things can get up to speed real quick if you're not paying attention and you're just like, get to my destination, which was always the case when you're trying to drive 13 kids. But maybe this USPS driver just needed to get his delivery done. And to 100 miles per hour, there you go. I think it's kind of impressive. But go the speed limit, kids.
Yeah, go the speed limit, especially in neighborhoods. But the officer said he caught him coming out the light, man. That is awesome right there. The officer's explanation of what happened was kind of is a real wild story. But if it's a V6 with loud pipes on it, I'm happy that it got passed up by a delivery truck. I'm here for that, man.
It's kind of crazy because usually vehicles like that have governors in them. Like I know, like any of the other package delivery systems, like I have friends that drive for Amazon, and you really can't take the van over 67 miles an hour. It's set at 67. So, right, that's what I'm saying. How are you supposed to go 70? They want you to stay calm, cool, and collected on the road. But my grandpa actually used to drive for USPS, and I thought it was so cool because they have the steering wheel on the opposite side.
Right.
So they can put mail out the window into mailboxes. So I wonder if this dude, it was like his first day on the job, and he just thought that the gas and brake pedals were switched too. Maybe he was like, I figured we were going to this side. I didn't know which way we were going.
Hey,
that's great.
I didn't picture a world where USPS would be going over 100 miles per hour though, but I enjoy USPS. I know they've had their struggles and stuff like this. This is like the best news they could have for the week right here, man.
Elsewhere on the internet yesterday, we all feel older now because Auburn has offered Chris Davis III. Chris Davis, the kick six player's son.
Whoa.
Class of 2028 running back.
Oh, my.
Way to go. Way to go.
2028 running back, CJ Davis.
So how old is he? No, the dad. He's about what, my age?
You're the one who said earlier that math is your thing.
Sorry,
what I'm thinking, he may have started younger. Yeah, Kayla. See, I'm saying, can't let Kayla describe you, man.
Anything.
She gonna bury you or either put you in a trash bag. One or the other's gonna happen.
Drink you like coffee.
Or put you on the back burner like some old coffee, baby. No, he's probably about my age then. So yeah, I'm about to have a sophomore, so that's appropriate.
He's going into his freshman year of high school.
Yeah,
the young kid.
He's in 8th grade. I was talking about dad.
I know. I'm just saying how old the kid is.
Yeah, I'm about to have a sophomore, so it's about right on par right there. I remember watching him run that play, though, which is crazy. Now his son is up there.
33 years old.
Oh, never mind.
So he would have been 18.
The under.
He started young.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. As long as he's taking care of his kid,
Probably
I ain't got no
happened after the
problem
kick
with
6,
it, man.
to tell you the truth.
Man, real with you, Caleb. I'm sure he ain't have to pay for much in
I
that
think he already had him at that point.
At 18, you're right. He did.
Right.
Yeah. Goodness.
My goodness.
The Lord bless him for being in his life and doing everything possible to make him a college athlete. That's big time. All right, that's enough of the fatherhood.
Hewitt Trustful High School, where this kid goes.
Hewitt Trustful.
Decent program.
Okay.
Decent, I say with the utmost sarcasm. It's a very good school.
Is it really?
For football. Yes.
See, I love how you know that type of stuff. That blows my mind.
I have useless knowledge. I don't have much that can really help you in life, but I can tell you about random high school football programs across the South.
Where is that again, Will?
I don't know.
Alabama?
Okay.
Again, I can tell you they're good, but I could not tell you where they are.
Okay, for sure. I figured it'd be
that's
Alabama.
even more
Y'all got computers?
No, I don't use my computer.
Yeah,
for the
but I'm
purpose
not
thing,
looking up
Will.
that guy's
Absolutely
name.
not.
I forgot his name already.
Either way.
Only said it 4 times.
I was just thinking about the age thing. All
It's
right,
Chris
I was
Davis
trying to do
Jr.
math.
or Chris Davis the Third.
Chris Davis.
It's not Benedict Davis the Fifth. Like I don't.
Aloysius. Benedict Aloysius.
All right, coming up, hour number 2, 615-737-1045 is our number. And ESPN, what?
Trussellville, Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah. In hour 2, ESPN college football ranking gives Tennessee a little love, but not a ton of love, and sets up an interesting early matchup for the Vols. Coming up next. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. To all my facility managers out there, how are your plumbing fixtures doing? Do you have any clogs in a sink or two? Maybe there's an annoying leak, inconsistent hot water when you need it the most. Well, no matter your plumbing problem, the team at League Company is here to help. For over 80 years, their expert technicians have been here to make your life easier and keep your place of business running efficiently. And look, those 80 years, that means something to me. I know it probably means something to you as well. You do something for 80 years, you learn to do it the right way. And Lee Company, they are trusted for so long here in Middle Tennessee for so many reasons. They're available 24/7, 365. They will get things done for you efficiently. You got to remember this phone number, 615-567-1000. You could call Lee Company there today or contact them online at leadcompany.com. That's 615-567-1000. Lead Company, all you need.
What's going on? 701. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Quarterback extensions, the topic of conversation after 21 teams reported for OTAs yesterday. One of those quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa, present and accounted for. No holdout for him, but no contract either. Two sides have been working on a new deal. Nothing imminent, but Tua is in the final year of his rookie deal, playing out the fifth-year option. Another quarterback looking for an extension, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. They've both been working on an extension. Head coach Doug Peterson said there's only so much he can do to expedite the process, but does admit that the earlier the deal gets done, the better it will be for both parties. Those are the two quarterbacks from the 2020 draft class still waiting to be paid. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Love all got paid. Now they're waiting for their check. And also, Adam Schefter reporting yesterday, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins still not signed his franchise tender, not expected to be paid by this week, not expected to sign this week. This would make him ineligible to report back to the Bengals in time for their organized team activities next week. Higgins wouldn't be able to rejoin the team until he signed. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in Nashville, hour number 2 of RKW is off and running. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. In 15 minutes, an ESPN writer has linked the Tennessee Titans to maybe the number 1 free agent who is left on the board. We'll have the discussion about the safety position here in Nashville ahead of an open media practice for OTAs today, as the Tennessee Titans get back on the practice field at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. What is the most interesting Titans position battle moving forward into the offseason and into OTAs? Yesterday, guys, on ESPN.com, a post-spring college football ranking has the Tennessee Volunteers at number 15 in college football. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
Considering the teams that are in front of them, probably just right. Well, 1 or 2, I'd probably question. I saw, I got to see what Missouri's going to do this time around. They got them in the top 10. How real is that? Utah being in the top 10 also. We see how that unfolded last year. And, of course, doubling back with what Michigan is. That rounds out the top 10. Yeah, I'll question it. But I think 15 for us is probably appropriate, considering quarterback, figuring out the O-line situation, and the dip that the offense took. I think it's somewhat of a warning shot that this offense has to have a quarterback that can deliver each pass and not just be an arm, right? A big arm as it was for a guy like Joe Milton. You look at the differences between Hendon and Joe from the last 2 years, you probably say to yourself, Hendon had a little bit more finesse to it, whereas Joe kind of lost that. And I saw the stat line was the amount of points we scored, I think it was over 40 2 years ago as it pertains to, I think, just right at over 30 last year. So that somewhat matters for a team that has to win game on scoring points in a high fashion. So 15 is all right with me. I'll take that, Will. Of course. Everybody else you knock off in front of you until you get that opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad spot. And these preseason, rankings or whatever you want to call them, you can only look so much into them because you're looking at some of these teams, and you had mentioned Utah, right? Okay, Utah's been a solid program. It's been a consistent program, but is it a program that, is able to go all the way and to win it all? They haven't proven that part. And plus, in a new conference, right? I mean, there's a lot of differences that come with that, too. So some of the things you look into, Missouri, can they do it again? Can they match this type of season again? I think for the Vols, this is a good spot because maybe people are looking at this offensive and looking at last year and saying, well, the offense wasn't as good as it was the year before. Well, because maybe Joe Milton wasn't as good as Hendon Hooker, but this now with Nico Iamaleava, I think all signs point to up. And yes, he has to prove it because he's a young quarterback. He's going to be doing it for the first time during the regular season the whole time. But I think 15 is a good spot because you look at the defensive side, the defense looks, at least ahead of time, looks really good. I mean, you're talking about James Pierce, who they're already putting in the top 5 for next year in terms of draft prospects. So I think it's a good spot to be because you don't get too anxious of, oh, yeah, we're in the top 10. We still got to work to get there. But I think there is really good parts surrounding this team. And by the way, the wide receiver core looking pretty good, too.
I would have Tennessee at 13.
Okay.
I would put them ahead of LSU and NC State at the very least. Utah, I agree with. However, Cam Rising and the experience that he brings back to the Utes is significant. And for Missouri, Brady Cook is back with Luther Burden. And those two still have quite a connection as wide receiver one and one of the best quarterbacks coming back in the SEC this year in Brady Cook. Missouri brings in Corey Flagg and Darius Smith at linebacker from Miami and Georgia, respectively. I think the question on Missouri is, can they replace Chris Adams-Drain and Ennis Rakestraw, the two NFL corners, in their secondary? Because that certainly made a big difference. I have no idea why LSU is ahead of Tennessee on this. LSU, a team that has major question marks on defense. I know former Missouri defensive coordinator Blake Baker is there, but I think Tennessee's defensive line is significantly better than LSU's. And just the fact that Tennessee has James Pierce, yes, I know Harold Perkins is on the LSU side, but I would give the edge to Tennessee in that regard as well. It is interesting, though, that NC State, with the transfer haul that the Wolfpack got under Dave Doran, is at 13. That sets up a bit of a matchup that I don't think we've talked a lot about. I think we just assume Tennessee beats NC State and Charlotte and they go on their merry way into SEC play. I'm surprised to see NC State get that much love. They have the transfer wide receivers, Noah Rogers and Wesley Grimes from Ohio State and Wake Forest. The ACC Freshman of the Year, Casey Concepcion, who is in there. And then Justin Jolly, who Tennessee fans know well, the UConn transfer at tight end, who Tennessee offered and then essentially didn't want him to visit after all. He canceled his visit. He ends up at NC State. And then Grayson McCall, the Coastal Carolina quarterback at NC State. That is a sneaky good matchup in week 2.
It is early, Will, in Charlotte for the most part, which should be a home game, but I know Vol Nation's going to travel well for that one. It really will come down to quarterback play. Is the way I look at these two. And I think the LSU favor, Will, does come from looking at the write-up on this one, comes from their quarterback play in the bowl game. So he went 7 for 7, 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. That gives them optimism because why? LSU recruits at a high rate, and you expect those prospects to show up during the regular season for a team like LSU. So he got the benefit of the doubt. As it pertains to NC State, again, solid year for them last year. They put guys in NFL as of recently to have former first-rounders not even that long ago. They are a good squad. And, of course, I think this past year they had a third-round linebacker. They've been stacking talent. This, to me, is NC State, North Carolina, and South Carolina is the reason why Clemson can't be good. They are recruiting their butts off and don't have a problem. As you mentioned, some of these transfers out of the portal, they don't mind going into the portal because this is how a team like NC State became even more relevant. Is getting a top 15 billing right now, too. It's because of the things that Dabo won't do. I do think they'll be solid. They get the big boys. They have a quarterback that they believe in also. So I can see this being a competitive game. They can't fall back and just think they're just going to beat NC State at this point, though.
Yeah, NC State's an interesting story. What will happen with them? Because the ACC moving forward, there's a lot of question marks there, and a lot of it goes to the fact that, like you said, Clemson is not taking in a lot of these transfers, so maybe not boasting their roster as much as some of these other teams like NC State is doing. Because you look at NC State last year, 9-4 overall, man, they were 6-2 in the conference. And there could be a very big change in terms of who dominates the ACC moving forward. So, yeah, you can't take these teams lightly. I know Miami getting Cam Ward from Washington State, the quarterback. What can they do with that program? I feel like they always have the ability to get there, but don't really reach the finish line. And then Florida State. What do we see out of a Florida State team that was really hot last year until they lost their quarterback? So that'll be interesting first game with NC State. You're right. You can't overlook them at all.
Man.
Second game.
Second, sorry.
NC State might have the cakiest of the most cake schedules I've ever seen.
That's the ACC,
in my
of course
life.
they do.
Yeah.
They don't play any of the top teams in the ACC this year.
They're going. Wow.
So they might be in the mix.
Yeah, they play Tennessee and Charlotte and Clemson on the road in September, but they don't play Florida State, Louisville, Vatech, or Miami
Well, they're
during
lucky.
the regular season.
Dang.
Our friend Andy Staples of On3 put out his own top 25 this morning, and he also agrees with me on the number one team in the country. Ohio State's the number one team in the country going into this season. Point blank.
Considered what they got, yeah.
They added so much in the portal, including a sitting head coach who's made a national championship game as their OC. But they are legitimately, with Will Howard, with Quinshon Judkins, with all of the wide receiver talent that they have coming back. I agree with Andy Staples that they're one. Andy, for the sake of discussion on Tennessee, has the Vols 11. And the teams that we discussed that we didn't think should have been in front of them, Utah, NC State, LSU, on Andy Staples' list, Utah's 15, NC State 16, LSU 17.
Yep.
So there you go.
That's where I would put them.
And Missouri is at 14 behind Tennessee as well.
I'm still not. I heard everything you said, but I'm still not over NC State's schedule. Because
It's the ACC.
I know this is the type of team later in the year that's going to get a pass and be talked highly of, and legitimately, like they don't have to go through the gauntlet. Real quick, after Tennessee, La Tech at Clemson, Northern Illinois, Wake Forest, Syracuse at Cal, Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech, and then North Carolina. They're good. Oh my God.
Mac Brown, UNC, baby.
I know.
Yeah, and you can't count out them, but yeah.
I like North Carolina though.
With the switch too from Cal and Stanford, like you don't know how they're going to react to that kind of. I mean, I think it's going to be a huge adjustment for all these Pac-12 teams that have dispersed. Well, maybe not Oregon and Washington, but all the others.
Boy.
615-737-1045. Coming up, an ESPN writer has linked the Titans to maybe the top free agent left on the market. Plus, what is the most interesting Titans position battle as we continue through the offseason? That's next. Titans OTAs open to the media today, and lots to break down as the local professional football team is on the practice field. OTAs for 21 teams getting started yesterday. 615-737-1045 as we ask you, what is the most interesting Titans position battle? Is it safety? Where ESPN.com's Matt Bowen writes best team fits for some of the top remaining free agents. It says the top safety still available, Justin Simmons from the Denver Broncos, would be an easy fit under new Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Matt Bowen writes, Simmons is a high-level communicator in the secondary with deep range and great ball skills. He has at least 3 interceptions in 6 straight seasons and is a productive starter who is strong in run support. Why do we think Justin Simmons is still available? And does he make sense as a Tennessee Titan?
I think it makes absolute sense. That's who I've been on since day one in terms of free agency, just because you're getting a proven commodity in Justin Simmons. And he is an older player, but at this point, that's what you're getting on the free agent market anyway with that position. So why not have the best of that position? And in my opinion, he is the clear favorite that's still out there. And look, if he doesn't have to sign, why not just wait until you have to? And a lot of these veteran guys I feel like at this point in their career, they don't necessarily want to come to all of this stuff. And I know this is voluntary for OTAs, but in some ways, you're always kind of obligated as a new guy to be there, because I think we'll see a lot of these new players there today. So for me, I feel like he doesn't have to sign until he wants to. And we clearly know he'll be the more expensive safety, but the Titans have the money. So why not go get the best thing that's available to continue to improve the back end of your defense, which, by the way, we know Denard Wilson is always going to want the best back there.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel the same way. He doesn't have to be rushed by this at all. He can cruise himself into shape. He can take a couple more vacations if he wants to. And honestly, listen for the best deal. The other thing is this, though, too. Players also look and read articles on who's looking better, who's a good team. Hey, this guy's reported to have a good system in place, or this quarterback is looking good. He's at a spot right now to where the longer he waits, the more his need is there. So as far as it goes with negotiating with a guy like him, he'll be able to have a little bit more leverage when you're later in the summer and having to sign a guy like him.
Good point.
You know he's a proven commodity. You know what he does as a player. And if he's still willing and able to play at a high rate, we'll see. He probably just needs a little bit more time. Again, veterans this time of year, there is no major need to sign, just to come in for OTAs when they're steadily working themselves back into it anyway. It will be fascinating to see where he lands, because here's a team that has a strong need here as far as the Titans go. You know your play is going to be there. You know they have the money to sign you also. It's just a preference thing to me, Will. I think it makes perfect sense for a team like the Titans to sign a guy like him here.
When we asked Jeremy Fowler about this a couple of weeks ago, there have not been any updates to the safety pursuit for the Tennessee Titans. But when we talked about it, he brought up a different name.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones out there. You know, Marcus May is a name I still have in my back pocket because I know they met with him early in the offseason. I do sense that there was a lot of mutual interest there. Nothing really came together, but that doesn't mean it can't now. So he'd be a good fit. And, a lot of these safeties wouldn't be overly costly at this stage. You know, I mentioned Justin Simmons, maybe Quandre Diggs. Those are players that I could see waiting for the right number. But there's a lot of talent out there still at that position, and it kind of got watered down in March because he had so many players cut, so many good players available that there wasn't a lot of money for those players. But, if you're Justin Simmons, he's probably going to wait. That's one player that will have to get the right number. But Marcus May is one I could see shaken out just because of the interest already shown there. And I'm sure he has options, though, elsewhere.
So Marcus May and Justin Simmons, the two names now that have been linked in some capacity to the Titans. And again, like Ramon said, this is more of an analyst saying what's the best fit, more so than it is an insider saying, hey, these teams are talking. We know that Marcus May has talked with the Titans. We do not know if Justin Simmons has, but you look at the numbers, if both these guys are similar prices, Justin Simmons is the better football player.
Yeah, and Justin Simmons has played in more games consistently in the last 2 seasons. In terms of games played last year for Marcus May, just 7 games, 10 the year before. So I feel like if you're going to pay for the product, at least get the best available, like I mentioned, and that's going to be available, because it's not going to do you any good to sign a player. It might be a little bit cheaper signing Marcus May, but if he's not available, then you have the same problem you did to start with.
And for Marcus May, that was a suspension from a 2021 DUI charge that cost him 3 games this past season. The legal process did not conclude on that until the 2023 preseason. So part of the reason why he missed 3 games last year was from suspension.
Right. The years prior, 10 games and 6 games. So
yeah. Definitely. You got guys that can make plays for you with either one of these guys. I like Justin Simmons. The aspect of him being able to play close to the line of scrimmage and get his face dirty. Again, if this is going to be an attacking style of defense, having somebody with a money hooker on the back end who seems to be a closer, he was Johnny on the spot, I feel like, for the better part of the last couple of years, just interceptions and stuff. So having a nice compliment in a Justin Simmons. And again, here's the other thing, too. With a lot of this, we're mentioning these players. One, Marcus May is a name guy, and Justin Simmons is, too. The thing that this team, I think, will need to take them to a different world is a couple of names that we've spoken of. You mentioned D-Hop. You mentioned Calvin. If Will Levis builds his profile up, I think that's why Tony Pollard signing is good. If Kenneth Murray can turn into a guy, that's where those later in the season, we speak of schedule. And I know it don't matter to some people, but we speak of schedule. If those guys' profiles get bigger, and you have Justin Simmons a part of that also, flexing of games for matchups could be something that could be very advantageous here for this group in Nashville if they are winning, making plays, and you get to the flex schedule time of the year to where the Titans become a primetime team. I think this is a gradual just progress of what you want to see for future teams down the line. And when you mention Marcus May or Justin Simmons, the biggest issue you're going to have is people are going to knock you for the age. The same way they're doing with Calvin, the same way they're doing with D-Hop, and just what you pay for a running back. None of that matters if you win. And that's why I think a guy like Justin Simmons, to your point, I think both of you made about who's the better prospect here, it's him. I think his prices are going to be a little bit higher than what Marcus May's asking price is because you got the All-Pros, you got the Pro Bowls behind them too. So if they can lock them in, good. The one thing is you usually follow the opposite direction, right? There's been conversation about Marcus May from Jeremy Fowler. It seems to me that the number one target should be Justin Simmons.
So it's interesting at that position. Where does it rank for you guys among the most interesting battles that are happening at OTAs, at training camp, and at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park this offseason?
I think it all depends on if they sign a guy like that. Because I think if you sign a guy like that, you're assuming you've got a Monty Hooker paired up with either a Justin Simmons or a Marcus May type of veteran. Now, if they don't do that, then and you go into camp and there's actually a battle, you're looking at, behind Amani Hooker, you're looking at Mike Brown, Matthew Jackson in terms of that spot, and then Elijah Molden listed as a starter right now because that's what you have. Best available is Elijah Molden on the other side. Behind that, Shaheem Carter and Keaton Ellis. I mean, these are guys that you don't know much about. We've had sample sizes of Shaheem and Mike Brown, but other than that, we haven't seen these players. And to me, that's hard to say that they're going to compete for a starting job. I think Elijah Molden last year proved he could try to be healthy. That was the biggest thing, the knock on Elijah. But he's got a lot of growing to do because he's a little behind. But they really need to sign somebody by camp, in my opinion, because otherwise you're leaving that open, at least behind Elijah Molden. There's not a lot of depth at that position.
If you sign Justin Simmons, I don't think that's even a competition.
Right.
To me, with what we've seen from Elijah Molden, I think the biggest, camp battle is probably right tackle. Just simply because it's on the edge. It's important that Will Levis has time. It's important that we see progress in this group on who's going to be the guy. And the one thing is, as it pertains to them working through OTAs and getting into training camp, is we'll see what the physicality looks like too, especially with the two teams. Well, if they have a joint practice with either the Niners or the Seahawks, That's where you're going to see what the real competition is going to look like. Will they get better because of Bill Callahan? To me, I think that is probably the more heated position than even over right guard. I think guard, they'll figure out what that is. Raiders is good enough. Bronco's good enough. We don't know if it's going to be Leroy Watson, NPF, Jalen Duncan. I think that is a very hot trio of competition right there, despite we don't know what they all look like in totality. I don't know what Leroy Watson really looks like. I don't know what Jalen Duncan really looks like. Will he grow? Is he a better prospect and pro this year?
And I think we could go back to the original battle that happened when MPF came in to the Tennessee Titans as a rookie, and Dylan Radins was expected to win that right tackle position. And by the end of camp and during the preseason games, I remember the final preseason game, there was literally a battle to the very end on who was going to start at that right tackle position. We saw NPF win that over Dylan Radins. I think we could go back to that same exact competition in this year's training camp between those two at that position.
See, I think they view Radins as a guard, though.
I do too.
I don't know.
From what they've said that Radins is a right guard.
Yeah.
I think it's Leroy Watson, Jalen Duncan, Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle.
Would you not put Jalen as depth piece on the other side, though?
He's a flex guy. He's a swing guy. He better be a swing guy. That's how he's going to make the roster.
100%.
Yeah, he better be a swing guy. And if I was in the locker room with him, bro, learn how to play left and right. They traded for a guy. They gave up a draft pick for Leroy Watson.
7th round.
I mean, but it's still value.
Was it not a swap?
Was it? I'll look that up. You can continue to talk, though.
I think it was their last pick, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but even still, there's value in those picks given up, though.
I don't know if there is in this year's draft as much as previous, because we've heard all offseason that this was the most watered down 7th round in years of the draft, right? I don't think that does much for you. It was pick 227 is all it was.
Okay, but still, you gave up something to get a guy other than just money. That's my point on it.
Maybe I'm too jaded. It just doesn't move the needle much.
I get it.
For me.
You got a little BTS going on right now.
No, it's not even that. It's just the fact that we spent all offseason talking about how bad this draft was on day 3. So giving up a late day 3 draft doesn't mean much.
But it also, to me, has the attachment of Bill Callahan saying, yes, I want that guy here.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I look at his situation as unique with the other two guys he's battling with.
So in OTAs, what does that battle really look like? Because we talked about it yesterday. Is there really much you can learn about an offensive lineman in shorts and helmets?
Yes, it is still.
What can you learn?
You can learn who's going with the ones.
I'm not doubting you.
No, 100%. No, I never had a question behind it, okay? You're looking at who's going with the ones. If on day 1 it's Leroy Watson, when does NPF get in with reps with the ones? Because the truth behind it is this. From the quality of reps from the ones to the twos is a drop-off. Well, if you're winning with the twos, one, you're supposed to. But the moment that you get an opportunity to work with the ones, when you got Arden and you got Harold rushing over your edge, that's when you start to see, okay, we will have a real competition when they put pads on. That's what you can notice. Who's moving up and who's moving down. Again, coaches will tell you this time of the year, nobody has a job. Everybody's open. Of course, we know everybody. The left side is taken care of. Lloyd Cushenberry, that is his job. But what happens to guys like NPF, Jalen Duncan, and Leroy Watson is this. When are they getting reps and where are they getting reps? That, to me, is probably the biggest thing that you need to look for on practice fields as it pertains to those guys who are in a competition. And the same thing goes for the linebackers, too. When does a Cedric Gray get in? When does a Jack Gibbons get in the game also? Is he running with Kenneth Murray? Those are the things that you look for this time of year that play positions that are physical. So, to me, the biggest issue is ones are up. Who runs to the front of the line? Is it Leroy or is it NPF often? Because the truth is, by the time training camp goes, the coaches will set their board. And they may have Leroy/NPF. And the only reason I'm putting Jalen Duncan behind is because he's got to grow a little bit more and show that he can play. Because I thought the latter part of last year, as it pertains to Jalen Duncan, I was questioning, okay, how much do you really want this? So 2 dudes we've seen want to fight and want to play for this, and who are more veteran than Jalen Duncan, I think you look at them and say, all right, they will be given opportunity. And the thing about Leroy Watson is he's not a super young guy. He's been to different teams. He's gone through transactions. This will be I would hope, a very heated competition between NPF and Leroy Watson, because the thing about NPF was he had to play last year when he came back, right? and then he got injured. So a guy, Leroy, who spent time with your new offensive line coach, this should be hot. There should be no days off, and they both should play in every preseason game.
It'll be interesting, too, to see because clearly if you guys putting Dylan at right guard right now, and we'll see what happens out there, and we'll get a little quick peek today at, some early work. But you're, probably going to guess he's going to go up against the veteran in Daniel Brunskill, which leads me to wonder, too, what the depth is going to be behind Lloyd Cushenberry at center. Now, we want to assume that he's going to stay healthy the whole season, and he's shown consistency and durability. But that will be interesting, just because there's not any depth at center. You can move Daniel Brunskill possibly to center because he has played almost every position on the line. But it is a little interesting that there's not any solid, number 2 behind there right now. So maybe they, figure that out as we get to see them work with Bill Callahan. But my whole thing was on the inside linebacker position. As much as I want to see Cedric Gray win it, because I just think he has the ability to do that, being a guy who was able to make calls, at the college level, there's still always that, how do you transition? And for every single player, until you do it, we're kind of just assuming you can do it or assuming you can't do it. And in his case, we're assuming he can do it right from the jump. And wear that green dot, that's kind of the position that we're putting him in, because there's no other spot that really there's impressive guys to beat him out. But I will say Jack Gibbons has an opportunity in camp to do that. I know Jack Gibbons is kind of like an NWI. Just that coffee you pour in your cup in the morning.
He gonna make some plays. Watch.
He didn't get the name Dr. Gibby by chance. He is a very intelligent player who I think could handle the green dot opportunity and responsibility, but we'll have to see what happens. I think it's up to Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray could possibly prove it in camp, but it's an uphill climb. As a rookie, there's a lot to learn to adjust to. So that position to me will be interesting, who wins the starter spot alongside Kenneth Murray.
PFF liked Jack Gibbons last year, 71.2 grade, 72.9 out of 100, which is solid. Run defense grade for Jack Gibbons last year.
The most underrated, one of the most underrated players in the AFC South.
The reason also that I think Radens is a guard, though, too, because at some point we heard he can snap it. He may end up being an interior rotational guy, too, because, again, you got Cole Spencer, who's in competition with him. You got 2-3 spot competitions, I think, at 2 spots. Right tackle, right guard.
I think Dylan Radens is your day one starting right guard.
Okay.
Day one. Brian Callahan told reporters at the Combine, said, I see him starting off at guard. Not that he can't play anywhere else, but we wanted to give him a place to start out, and his best chance to help us is going to be starting out inside. I think he is your guard, and Brunskill is your utility backup who can play every position on the line.
I want to see what Cole Spencer fits in this year, too.
He's got to make the team.
Yeah, I wonder will he be center, too.
Watched a little of him out there that first day of practice last week, or rookie minicamp.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up around the NFL headlines, one wide receiver is disgruntled in the Midwest. Another one, well, in Northern Kentucky, where Brian Callahan came from. We'll dive into that. Plus, there is a beloved place that is filing for one of the biggest bankruptcy deals in the country in a long time. That's next.
Hey, this is the worst time of year to be feeling those aches and pains in your joints. And that's why we got to bring you QC Kinetics, right? You can't do the outdoor stuff that you love to do, but you can with QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, and you don't have to go through the summer missing out on life, whether that be playing with the kiddos, going to the beach, riding your bike. Now you can just call QC Kinetics and find out how they use biologics from your own body to give new life to those achy joints. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore, they can repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients would agree. They are living their best life just because they simply made the call. So you can call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation to check it out. Revolutionary treatments are here for joint pain. It's QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
RKW brewed up by 8th and Rose, wrapping up the first half of the show already. Austin Price on deck coming up in a half hour. He will give us the latest on a Tennessee transfer target that is on campus in Knoxville. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, guys, star wide receiver Justin Jefferson, who has been in talks with the Minnesota Vikings regarding a contract extension, was not spotted at the team's training facility yesterday for the start of OTAs. We have entered wide receivers not showing up to practice time of year.
Love that.
And T. Higgins has not signed his transfer portal. That's right. His franchise tag tender as well. What are the chances T. Higgins plays in a different uniform than the Cincinnati Bengals this year?
I got 0.
Really?
Yeah, I got
0.
0 chance.
Like, there's always a chance.
No, he's playing for Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, he's playing for Cincinnati this year. I think it may have been Burke that said that to us recently about, hey, they always do this time of the year. Trey Hendrickson is doing the exact same thing. They create a lot of dust about what they want to be doing, and they realize Cincinnati doesn't seem to budge when it comes down to them holding you to your contract. They don't budge whatsoever, and it's a matter of who's able to negotiate with Cincinnati too. I know, again, Pittsburgh needs another wide receiver. I'd still say I at this point, with what they're going to want for a guy like T. Higgins, I don't know if you're giving up a second plus money for him to be out of Cincinnati at this point. And the other thing too is Cincinnati needs him.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I'd say. I mean, you are going to tell Joe Burrow again, Joe Burrow is their franchise quarterback. He's what makes them tick. You've already lost Tyler Boyd in a guy that, Joe Burrow trusts. Yeah, you've got Jamar Chase, but you don't bring T. Higgins back or negotiate whatever, needs to be worked out between those two. And you really are left with guys that are going to have to earn Joe Burrow's trust. And I think the later that you push this out, the more that you're putting your team at risk in that situation.
Oh, yeah. And that's how you got to view it. T. Higgins, I don't think is going anywhere. Him getting the contract, it's Jamar's time. I'm sorry. It's just how it goes right now. It's Jamar's time, especially with them already paying their quarterback. I don't see it.
I think the Bengals' leverage, though, is we have Joe Burrow. We can give Joe Burrow mediocre receivers, and he'll make them good. Quarterback makes the receiver, not the wide receiver making the quarterback.
100%. That's a lot of truth in that, too.
But, that's what the Chiefs did with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. But
it's what the Vikings did with Stephon Diggs. They traded him and replaced him.
How close is Cincinnati to actually having a replacement, though? That's the thing about who are they going to sign this time of the year that's going to make it okay for T. Higgins not to be there. Again, it's one thing to say, yeah, we don't want the headache of the contract, but it's also another thing to set yourself up to lose because he's a valuable asset to them.
They don't have to sign anybody. They drafted Jermaine Burton.
Wow. Okay. Well, Joe Burrow, let's go. Let's see what you made of.
Bengals wide receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jermaine Burton, Trenton Irwin, Charlie Jones, Cole Burgess, Kendrick Pryor, and Andre Yosevas, the second-year player out of Princeton.
Yeah, Yosevas.
I agree with you that he'll 100% play for Cincinnati because they can still make this work this year.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is, again, where teams are starting to go, right? They're starting to, if they have that top 5 QB, they go cheap on receiver eventually.
They
beyond
will.
The number one guy.
Because, again, the challenge is, to your point, the quarterback has to help make the receiver. If the talent is there, then you should be able to pull it out. The issue is if you remove T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals, you feel more confident about the Titans wide receiver group than you do about Cincinnati's. Think about that for a second. We're talking about Yosefos being a young guy. We're talking about Jermaine Burton being a young guy also. They got to get past his own issues on the field. On top of, they just lost the running back, Joe Mixon.
Yep, Zach Moss, running back one there.
They have issues that they can't afford to lose a guy like that unless they're getting something back.
Tight end's different too. I mean, I know they have a Gesicki.
Yeah.
But, I think he's kind of declined a little bit.
Him and Drew Sample, who is just essentially the creative player on Madden when the jersey says Sample on the back.
Yes, it is. Now, since he doesn't have much room to kind of drop the ball on this, and if they want to stay competitive, with Joe Burrow and his curly hair, I thought that was a fake
it's
picture.
Long now.
He got locks.
Looks luscious.
Crazy. Yeah.
taking that collagen.
He's Goldilocks. Boy, they better win. Y'all know I'm an ultimate troll for AFC North teams. I'm going to put his head on like
they're taking a step back. Yeah,
on a horse. Like, I'm going to put his head on a horse. Yeah.
They'll be fine. They've got offensive line now.
Yeah, that's...
Amarius Mims might step in at right tackle, and they're going to actually give Joe Burrow a little bit of time to throw, and you can have lesser receivers because I have more time to get open, maybe.
Come on. Their offensive line wasn't good last year, and they added a dude who can't even stay healthy. What
Amarius
are we
Mims?
doing? Volson at left guard. Look at their.
I know. I'm looking at
everybody
it.
else on
Orlando
that
Brown,
daggum
Cordell
offensive
Volson,
line.
Ted Karras.
The
loud
more
mouth
like old
center.
as hell Karras.
Alex Kappa, Trent Brown with Amarius Mims in the wings.
Kappa, you're
They at least
capping
have
as
2
a real
tackles.
NFL player.
Look, the bar has been low, Bert, for the Bengals offensive line, and it has at least been raised a little bit.
They signed Trent Brown, who can't even get below 340 pounds, and they're paying him to do it.
That's why they're going to start Amarius Mims probably after a couple weeks.
Oh, he's going to be out there and he's going to hurt that little foot, leg, arm, whatever he got.
But Orlando's still there getting 31 a year, isn't he?
Yeah, but he ain't a left tackle.
Oh, wow.
AFC North 8 runs deep.
No, you see, it's a little bit different. And they
also fired me up, man.
I'm here for it.
I'm willing to play the game of operation, and I like Joe Burrow. I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. I think he's a hell of a quarterback, but the game of operation needs to be played every season because what body part will be injured to keep him out at least a few games?
He got the hand this time. Well, last year he had the hand.
He had a calf thing too going on last year, man.
He had a lot going on.
My goodness.
You guys see Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy yesterday? One of the largest bankruptcies in recent years.
Breaks my heart.
Mine too.
Those rolls were good.
Cheddar biscuits.
Cheddar baked biscuits, baby.
Founded in 1968. Apparently casual dining as a subsector fared poorly last year, according to Axios. Casual dining is like that's my demographic.
Yeah.
I'm not a fast food guy unless it's Chick-fil-A or Sonic. The Sonics, as Ramon would say.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm also not I'm not going to go to Roost Chris on a Tuesday just randomly. What's wrong with casual dining? We as a society need to support casual dining through these trying times.
Applebee's, Chili's.
They got to make the pricing right, though.
I was at Chili's after Tennessee beat Vandy that Friday night in the baseball series.
Slept upon.
It's just right there.
I'm talking about slept upon restaurant Chili's. It is that and O'Charlie's.
I was gonna say best casual dining place is 100% O'Charlie's.
Yeah.
All of my childhood favorites are closing down. Toys R Us, Charles E. Cheese, all of them are shutting down.
Charles Entertainment Cheese.
They're shutting down.
The band is breaking up.
Toys R Us made a comeback though. They sold the rights to that giraffe. Yeah, they're an online only store.
Good for them.
Good for Toys R Us. Charles E. Cheese.
Toys are online.
Broke my heart though when Ruby Tuesdays went away. That salad bar is elite level. Okay?
It was
so good.
It was really
So
good.
elite.
That
It was
pandemic
really
hurt that whole thing.
I mean, come on.
615-737-1045, our number. What are you most interested to watch at OTAs today? And an interesting answer on a podcast interview from Brian Callahan on play calling coming up next.
What's going on? Good morning. 8 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Quarterback extensions, the topic of conversation after 21 teams reported for OTAs yesterday. One of those quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa, still looking for a contract, but showed up nonetheless. No holdout for him. Two sides working on a new deal, but nothing imminent yet. Tua is in the final year of his rookie deal, playing out his fifth-year option. And the only quarterback from his class not to be paid yet. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, all of them impacted the league, and it impacted their pocketbook in a positive way. Burrow and Hurts both making a Super Bowl. Herbert winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Tua, he's just got a really fast team. Another quarterback looking for an extension, Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars been working on one. Head coach Doug Peterson said there's only so much he could do to expedite the process, but does admit the earlier the deal gets done, the better for both parties. Adam Schefter reporting yesterday, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins still has not signed his franchise tender and is not expected to by next week. This would make him ineligible to report back to the Bengals in time for their organized team activities, OTAs, next week. Higgins won't be able to rejoin the team until he signs. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, hour number 3 starts right now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And coming up in 20 minutes, we get the latest on the transfer saga that continues at Knoxville. Nashville native Chaz Lanier on campus as Rick Barnes of the Tennessee Volunteers try to add one of the top transfers on the market in North Florida transfer guard Chaz Lanier. Austin Price, boots on the ground in Knoxville, will give us the latest coming up. Ron Slay will give his take as well at 9:20. 3HL and SEC Network superstar who joins us every Tuesday morning here on the show. You can join us and make your voice be heard at 615-737-1045. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. Streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter.
Twitch, please.
Bring your ass.
Oh.
You gotta.
I'm slowing you up here, Bert. I'm slowing you up here, man. Okay. By the way, that was a great drop by Anthony Edwards on that one, man. He told Chuck, come on to Minnesota, man.
Yep.
That was awesome right there, Bert.
Hope he got his number.
Yeah, it ain't hard for him to find it. It ain't hard for him to find it at all.
Might get Slay to catch me up on what's happened to the NBA playoffs. Get Spark notes.
Yeah.
Slay notes.
Like
he had a great recap yesterday with Buck.
He did. I heard some of that.
Yeah.
Had a great recap with Buck.
I learned who was left in the playoffs.
Are you going to watch it?
No.
That's awesome.
No chance?
You're missing some good stuff. In the world, for a competitive person like yourself, you would absolutely indulge this. It's been good. It's been good.
I'll tune in for the finals. Usually, when there's 3 minutes left, I'll tune in for the last half hour of the game. It's not like it's fine. Like it's not for me, but I don't judge anyone for loving it. I've not grown up with any allegiance to a team in Nashville, so I just don't care.
I feel that,
but I don't blame anyone for caring. I mean, it's entertaining to some. It's just not to me.
You know what I am going to ask Slay? I am actually curious from a basketball type of guy who follows this every day. Is it good to have a villain? Because right now in the NBA, you could argue there's not really that villain. Golden State was for a minute because they were winning all those championships. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of just like a new guy every day, a new team every day.
Yeah, as far as the villain goes?
Yeah, I don't know if there's really a team right now that you can call like the villain because they're not sitting there winning every year like New England Patriots did, like the Golden State Warriors did.
I think if Denver had made it to the conference finals, I think they'd have started to become that. Because right now the conversation is, how in the hell does Luka win? The Joker wins 3
Nikola
MVPs.
Jokic.
Yeah. How does he win 3 MVPs and you never gave it to LeBron, or you never gave it to Kawhi, you never gave it to KD or Steph in this fashion? Like, this is quick for a guy like him. And the villain side of it, I think Dallas has some villain play in them. I think Minnesota has some villain play in them. Of course, if you're a basketball purist, you look at, there's a lot of people that hate the Celtics. But
they can't win a title. Like, they've got all this talent, but they need to start winning titles.
Well, they got it together now. Like, winning titles is a hard thing. Like, when you're running up against it. Yeah.
I guess putting it is these teams aren't winning back to back anymore.
Yeah, it's not. No, you're not going to see it. I think because the talent's just spread out across the league, and now I think the league is transitioning out of Steph, LeBron, KD, those guys. Like, if there's anybody that has more pressure on them, it's probably Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the ones that have really dropped the ball as of late as it pertains to, like, the group that they've tried to build up and what kind of team they want to be. It's probably Phoenix more than anybody. And, of course, the villains, I guess, on the other coast is the Lakers. Like, everybody watching LeBron work and have this team set up the way he wants to and get everybody hyped up because Lakers is a brand, and then they crap the bed again.
He might not even be there next year.
It's that side of it. I think that there's a lot in play there. Yeah. But you got a lot of darlings. OKC's a darling.
I like it.
Like Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Orlando's going to be good. So, yeah, there's a lot of squads out there.
What is the number one thing you are most interested to watch at Titans OTAs today?
Flow of offense, period. That and watching what kind of defensive coordinator Denard Wilson is. Is he going to be on guys like as much as I think he's going to be? I have this picture in my mind of what I think he's going to be. I want to see if he delivers on that, especially in the team settings when the offense go against the defense. How attacking will he be? What is he going to be asking of his guy? How is Tracy Rocker coaching up guys? Frank Bush, like all of those dudes. And then, of course, to me is watching this offense spin the ball down the field. I think that is the biggest question most of this fan base is going to have. You're transitioning to an era to where you're very offensive heavy. The league is very offensive heavy. You got a quarterback that you want to believe in. You got wide receivers that they've surrounded them by. And what is Will Levis going to make it look like? That's some of my most I guess my biggest questions.
I think it's just because it's appealing to look at a position that's been upgraded as much as it has in the wide receiver room. That's the first place I feel like I'm going to go, and I checked out some offensive line stuff, and I'll be back over there again because I just think the way that Bill Callahan is teaching is very interesting, and to watch that evolvement of some of these players will be great over the next few months. But wide receiver, like you upgrade that position with Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and then you've got the theme of Treylon Burks. What does he look like? Right? How is he moving? I think that's where I'll put a little bit of my focus today, just because I think it'll be interesting to watch that. And, these new coaches with their units, how are they coaching? What's their type of theme? Like we always talked about the helmet with Derrick Henry and the running backs with Tony Dews and the types of things that they do. What's the new things, the new themes? We've got Olga and Bertha, right, that we've already talked about on the offensive line. It's just a new setup all around. So it'll be interesting to just kind of go around to the position groups and see how these assistants are running things now. Because Brian Callahan has said it numerous times, I trust these guys to do their jobs, and he's not going to micromanage these assistants. And so I'm interested to see how that goes in practices.
Talking to Robert Mays of the Athletic Football Show, Brian Callahan spoke about play calling in a very candid answer, talking about the differences and admitting there is a big difference between simply making the game plan and then calling plays to that game plan when the bullets start flying. This was that interview and part of it with Brian Callahan with the Athletics' Robert Mays.
Yeah, there is a difference. I'm not going to be dismissive of the difference. There is a difference when you're trying to manage the game as the head coach and call it. I think obviously seeing Zach do it, the process that we went through, which is why I spent a lot of time hiring people on offense that I have a lot of trust in, because I think that's an important part. Nick Holtz obviously is a huge role in helping me get the call sheet set along with Bo's input with the quarterback. That's sort of how we worked in Cincinnati too, with Zach and me and Dan Pitcher. That circle tends to do a lot of the passing game with it. We had a veteran line coach in Frank Pollock. Obviously, we have my dad here, and I don't think there's many better than him. And so
I think that's fair.
He helps set the run game. He has a lot of the input in how we're going to set it up and call it. And then obviously between me, Bo, and Nick, formulating that process, how we're going to do it. It doesn't have to be the same as we did in Cincinnati, but how we end up doing it here is going to be a huge help. I'll lean on those guys quite a bit, just like Zach did with me and Dan in Cincinnati. With everyone has their particular areas of expertise, and I trust those guys, and I'm going to have to. And there might be a time where I say, Nick, what do you like here? And just like Zach would do with me, and I'd give him a play, and he'd call it, and we keep moving. And so there's a collaborative approach to the play calling process. And by the time you get to the game, if you're doing it right, you've sort of set the table.
You've pre-sequenced stuff.
Most of the things are and I think then we're play callers in the league, the great ones, the Shanahans and the McVays, and the guys that really separate themselves as play callers. They're great at what happens in game and how to adjust. And I think that's where I'm green. I'm a rookie in that regard when it comes to that part. I've done it as a
Is there anything you can do in advance that kind of sets you up for success there? Or is it just something that's trial and error?
You just try to work through and anticipate and have a plan, and what's the plan? Where do you pivot? What do you think is going to potentially happen? And I thought that was the one thing about like Gary Kubiak with the year I spent with him in Denver was he was probably the most natural play call, like just had a real great feel for when to pivot.
Brian Callahan on the Athletic Football Show with Robert Mays. That is what I'm interested to see, is anytime this offense gets in a flow of calling plays, going from one thing to the next. Brian Callahan also in these interviews sounds like such a nice, open, candid guy. I want to see him be mean a little bit. Like, I don't doubt that he has it in him, but that's the thing I'm most interested in, is just watching him manage practice as the Titans go from one thing to the next. That's always interesting, the way that coaches and their personalities come out in those in-between moments to me in practice.
And that's one thing, talking to some people that are close to him, that have worked under him. He is that guy that will stay calm most of the time, but when needed, it has been said that Brian Callahan will be that guy that will whoop people into shape, right? That will say, hey, look, this needs to be done the right way. But it's not one of those things that's his personality all the time. He is more just like an even keeled, which I think is a nice change of pace. And we'll see if that works. I mean, when things aren't going right, how does he respond? You're exactly right. We haven't seen that yet. But from all that I've heard, he has that ability to step up and be that authoritative guy when needed.
I just thought it was fun to listen to that interview, talking about how Zach Taylor helped prep him for head coaching duties, like stuff that he had to make decisions on. Paint inside the building. Like, those are some of the things that he had to, like, it was just like, he said it floored him a little bit. It was like, how do you want the building to look? How do you want, like, he was like, paint. This isn't like coaching right here. And that's why I think he's probably a little bit more quiet. It wouldn't shock me at some point if he does buckle down and become like that guy. And I've heard that too, Kayla. He will get you. Like, don't let that calm voice fool you right there.
And honestly, if he wasn't green in some area, he would have already been a head coach somewhere else in the NFL. I don't have any issue with him admitting, like, yeah, I'm green in one area. Yeah, that's why you're a coordinator, right? Like, that's why the only way you're going to find a guy who isn't green in one area is a retread former NFL head coach who's probably not been successful, and that's why he's available. Like, you're making a coaching change for a reason. You got to take some kind of risk in some area. Coming up next, VolQuest's Austin Price joins us. The latest on Nashville native Chaz Lanier on the basketball side, a Vols offensive line target committing later today. We get the latest with VolQuest's Austin Price next.
Getting engaged this spring, don't make her settle for one of those knockoff, mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Genesis has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori and Verragio and Henry Dulce and dozens more. Other stores are not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. They've got all the best brands. And because Genesis is a direct diamond importer, you can get the best prices on diamonds, and you can choose between natural and lab-grown diamonds. So you get the total package at Genesis, a one-of-a-kind ring and a great diamond at an amazing value price. And remember this, unlike other stores at Genesis, there are no commission salespeople. The experts at Genesis are there to help you, not push you, zero pressure, and no pricing games at all. Genesis is family-owned. They have an incredible reputation, known for doing business the right way and with honesty and integrity. So Genesis Diamonds is the only jeweler I recommend for quality, selection, and value. You can't beat them. You can find them in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast every Tuesday morning at 8:20. VolQuest's Austin Price joins us. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with the latest on Chaz Lanier for a couple minutes here this morning. What's up, Austin? How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. You?
We are good, and we have seen the picture that the rock was painted. Chaz Lanier has landed in Knoxville. Austin, how confident is Tennessee that they could get his commitment this week?
Well, they're going to do their best. I think this still boils down to kind of like, what does Chaz Lanier want? And when you think about, like, is it a straight just NIL? If it's straight NIL, it probably won't be Tennessee. If it's really good NIL and development and playing, for the home state, then, I think Tennessee probably has a really, really good chance to land Chaz Lanier. So I think a lot of it depends on kind of what he wants over the next, 24 to 48 hours. I think a decision probably happens by the end of the week. He'll have taken all three visits in succession, BYU to Kentucky to Knoxville, and I think the family will try to make a decision as quick as possible if they can.
Austin, do you get the sense that Rick Barnes and Tennessee are trying to compete with some of those numbers you get reported from BYU and Kentucky on the NIL front, or is this a matter of our price is our price and we're going to sell something a little bit different for you as the hometown hero?
I think it's the latter. I think Tennessee has offered up a really nice NIL package for Chaz Lanier, but at the end of the day, I think the chemistry of the team outweighs any one individual player for Rick Barnes, and so I think again, kid's going to get good NIL, going to get developed, and going to get a chance to play for his home state, and all those are the things that Tennessee is pitching. And again, I think the family is, very much, feeling that type of pitch, right? Now, you've got the agent involved who, again, is going to be thinking about from a business standpoint, who's offering the most, this and that. But that doesn't always, it's not tried and true. It's one of those things where the family will have to weigh their options and kind of figure out what's important and what's not.
Austin, when you have people that listen to us, whether they be from White House, whether they be from Brentwood, Franklin, Mount Juliet, Lebanon, and you talk about a guy coming to Tennessee who they're fans of, right? And you're talking about him, it's contingent upon the NIL. Well, what exactly are they expected to see if he does commit to Tennessee?
In terms of his on the field?
Yeah, his on the court play, yes.
I mean, a guy that can fill it up, can shoot. Obviously, I think, much like Dalton Connect a year ago, a guy that just, can create his own. And I think that, when you look at where this team's at, they've added, Darlington Dunbar, and he's been really, a nice pickup from Hofstra. Milicic is, I think, to me, a real key just because he's such a stretch four to be able to swing out there and make threes the way he did last year at Charlotte, I think is huge. But to add Chaz Lanier would be really big. And let's not forget about Felix Akpara from Ohio State, who replaces, Jonas Haydu. So, again, a guy that can create his own. And a year ago, it was nice, how many times in the last few years, I'm not sure Tennessee can get this guy open. They had to draw up a play. Like last year, they could just go here, Dalton, go. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he's Dalton Connect, but he can go get a bucket. Mark Sears could go get a bucket on their own. They did not have to have stuff drawn up for them. And, he's a special talent with the ball in his hands offensively.
When you look at these types of situations, too, as far as championships go, it's usually the team after the team you expect to go get a championship. Is he the type of player that you can plug and play and say, yes, the Vols have a real shot at making it to the Final Four and playing for the Natty?
Well, I think so much of that is matchups that time of year. I think they can be in position to be back in the Elite Eight playing for a chance to go to the Final Four again. Tennessee just kind of ran into the wrong matchup this year with Purdue. And, I think they're that type of team that could be back there with a chance to make it to their first ever Final Four a year from now. I think they're a top 25 team right now. Because, guys like Cam Carr are going to continue to improve. JP Estrella is going to continue to improve. But adding Chaz Lanier, I think, makes them top 10, top 5, top good, which means that you're right there with a realistic shot to make it to the Final Four.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us on RKW. In terms of football recruiting, Austin, what can you tell us about Atlanta's 4-star wide receiver Travis Smith? I guess he made the visit to Georgia over the weekend, scheduled to visit Tennessee the end of June?
That's correct. He'll visit Georgia again officially before he comes back to Tennessee officially at the end of June. And we'll announce his commitment on July 13th. If you ask me, said you got to make a decision right now, I would probably take Georgia. I think Tennessee is very much still in it. Georgia's going to take a lot of receivers in this class. Tennessee's down to kind of their last receiver spot, and they're trying to find a big, tall, long, athletic specimen, and Travis Smith fits the bill there. So, they'd love to have him or Jamie French or Caleb Cunningham to what they already have in Joakim Dotson and Rodarius Jackson in this class. So right now, I think a lot of it will hinge on the meetings they have going forward with each team and each school, and kind of what he finds on his OB. But right now, I would lean Georgia by the slightest of margins, but Tennessee is definitely still in it, and I definitely think it's a 2-team race.
Austin, things getting underway in Hoover starting today, and Tennessee will play the winner of Vandy versus Florida. Speaking of Tennessee, how big of a snub did Christian Moore get in terms of not winning SEC Player of the Year, which that went to Georgia's Charlie Condon?
Yeah, I think people love just the moonshots that Condon hits. I would take Christian Moore. What he did from the lead, and not just because I cover Tennessee, I just think what he does from the leadoff spot, from a numbers wise, is far superior. He hits with he's got Burke there as protection, but he's batting in the leadoff hole most of the time, right? And so the tail end of the lineup's not going to find the base paths as frequent as the top of the lineup. So what he's done from home runs, RBIs, clutch, on base percentage, he's just been super, super dynamic all year long. I think he is, SEC Player of the Year quality. And again, I think this is a guy that, to me is Tony's best pro prospect to date. I just think that he's got, big time written all over him.
VolQuest's Austin Price, quick visit here this morning on the show at Austin Priceless. VolQuest and On3, where you follow him on Twitter for the latest Tennessee news, and that will include the latest on Chaz Lanier this week. Austin, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Austin.
Thanks, Austin.
There he is, Austin Price, giving us the latest out of Knoxville, and I think giving a bit of a clarification to Tennessee fans about Chaz Lanier. The price is what it is. Is that the right approach from a college program to say, look, our price is what it is? They can offer you this, but we're going to do something different?
No, I think it's the right approach. I don't think it's the right approach for a player that I feel like this is really significant to what his career could be in the future and how his growth continues, to make it all about money. I get it. These guys want to have a bag, and that's part of it. And it's not like you're not going to get paid when you go to Tennessee. They're going to pay you, but you're also going to be a part of a team that I feel like is the better fit, that is going to have the better competition from start to finish, that has a better opportunity to make it far in March Madness, that has, no offense to BYU, but has a better coach, a better overall program. And I get the money. I really get it. And I'm not speaking for him as what he needs in his life as a player, but just as a professional moving forward in his growth, I think you go with the better program and what's going to set you up for success, making more money down the line. And that, to me, is truly Tennessee.
Yeah. This is where, again, college sports has to get to a point to where they get minimums. You have to get minimums at this point. All right. And I'm all for free trade, free market, do whatever the heck you want to. But when you say, do you stick by the number or do you increase it to compete with people that basically keep you employed too? Because that's where you are, between a rock and a hard place as a coach and as a program, as an organization. If we don't pay him, then we lose a guy that's going to help us win games. If we win games, I keep my job. Screw the price, because the money's going to be made on the back end. You don't get him and you lose. Well, you should have. It's always in hindsight when you look at these types of situations. There has to be flexibility there. And looking at the way certain teams are built, if it's between BYU, Kentucky, if it's between BYU, Kentucky, and the Vols, here's the thing you have to ask yourself also. What is my ultimate goal? Is my ultimate goal to get a bag right now or to get set up for down the line? And then there's also as Rick Barnes and the collective also. Why won't you spend? It's the other side of it. If there is a $600,000 difference or $800,000 difference, like that's a big gap to make up. Sure. The question you have to ask yourself is, what are we willing to give outside of this? Whether that be your hometown kid, whether that be the exposure to your family, whether it be a job for mama, because she can get one now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ways you can incentivize them. But here's the thing behind doing these types of deals, whether you're chasing a bag or chasing the league, is you better perform.
Yeah.
Because now that's why I asked that question about people that are, in Mount Lebanon, Robertson County. Don't matter where you are. Vols fans are everywhere. Is going to hear this be reported and know that a big number, whether Tennessee has the lowest of the big numbers or Tennessee raises their price up. The idea that you got to perform on those SEC games in the tournament is at an all-time high. I think a lot of this stuff these days should be incentivized, and this goes against what I believe in a sense. But when it boils down to looking at his track record or anybody's track record, you mean to tell me you average 2 points, 4 points, 8 points, and then you score high double digits? Well, how do I believe you're going to be capable of doing that in our league? You know what I'm saying? There's risk involved in this. There's risk involved in signing Lloyd Cushenberry. Heck, this is just the way the game goes. But we're talking about professional model versus amateur model still. And when you look at the way people treat their college teams, the college team's just supposed to be there. Like you choose your pro team. You legitimately choose your pro. College team, you're somewhat born into it in a sense. To where it's like, all right, this is what we do as a family. A lot of people won't watch the NFL or watch pro teams, right? We're talking about the NBA versus college. My allegiance is to Tennessee. All things Tennessee.
I'm with you.
And when people do that type of stuff, the expectation is through the roof. So if you're going to ask Tennessee or Kentucky or BYU to raise that number, whether that be your agent or yourself, and you're supposed to get as much as you possibly can because the TV deals are plentiful, right, with the money that's going to be paid out. The performance, families, is what I ask you of your kids. And if they're just that good, perfect.
Yeah, I think from the Tennessee perspective, it's less about we don't have the money to pay Chaz Lanier. I think it's more the principle of Rick Barnes saying, no, I don't need to pay more than what I think you are worth.
And in some of these cases, sorry, I thought you were pausing. No, go on.
Well, I just think the point is for Tennessee that my pitch to Chaz Lanier is, you think Dalton Connect was making all those zeros in his check the day he got here? No. Dalton Connect earned the ability to make significantly more than what he got the day that he signed on at Tennessee. Dalton Connect was just a dude from northern Colorado when he stepped on campus. I'm telling Chaz Lanier, if I'm Rick Barnes, if you go and do what I just helped Dalton Connect do last season, you will make the most money here because I'm going to give you your best chance of the NBA. I'm going to give you your best chance of being SEC Player of the Year because I literally just did it with a guy with a somewhat similar skill set as a scorer who came here, wanted to work, wanted to play defense, and wanted to be an NBA lottery pick prospect. That's exactly what he did, and he got paid, I know for a fact, significantly more than what he was expected to get paid over his one season at Tennessee.
Well, and you got to be careful, too, and I know that Tennessee has money, and I know that Kentucky has money to, put out there. But when you look at some of these schools nowadays and they're throwing bags at these kids, we've had these conversations all the time about they need to actually get the money. Like if that's the money presented, then that needs to be the money they get. A lot of these places, and I'm not saying specifically in this situation, but a lot of these places are throwing these numbers out, and we've seen issues with these payments not being made fully. And that is something you have to look at if you are, let's say, a parent of one of these young kids. And even if you're just a grown man making a decision like Chaz Lanier, I still think that you look at longevity besides just in college. You're right, Will. I think the better plan to set him up for the future, and you have an example in Dalton Connect, and seeing what he's doing right now with the NBA Combine is a perfect example of he's going to be a high draft pick, and he's going to make a lot of money because he made the right decision.
It's funny you bring up the numbers, too, and some of them being fake, because Georgia quarterback Jaden Rashada just announced that he is suing Florida head coach Billy Napier and top Gators booster Hugh Hathcock for fraud, among other allegations, over a failed $13.85 million NIL deal.
Dang.
And in the story, Kevin Clark tweeted this out. Rashada informed Georgia coach Kirby Smart of his intention to file the lawsuit, according to sources, and Smart gave his blessing.
That's awesome.
So that is the specific example of sometimes the numbers are not always real, and then when you got to go elsewhere because the number wasn't real, you end up filing a $13 million or you file a lawsuit over a $13 million NIL deal.
He gave his blessing.
Wow.
Is the best part about it.
They play on November 2nd.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, Kirby them got sued too. So
Cocktail party, just the stakes got raised.
Yes.
Backup quarterback Jaden Rashada suing the head coach.
Let's go.
615-737-1045. There was a prospect that made headlines in the draft process for his less than stellar reaction about playing for the Tennessee Titans. Well, that same draft prospect is speaking again, and now he is saying bad things about his current employer. That's coming up next.
Summer is here, which means kids running around, outdoor activities, lawn care, pool parties, you name it. Summer is for the outdoors. During these months, your garage and outdoor storage space becomes the landing place for all things you don't want in your home. Dirty shoes, outdoor toys, tools, and more. So transform your garage and outdoor space into a space of calm and organization with Artisan Custom Closets. Say goodbye to the clutter and hello to storage solutions that are made to suit you, your style, and most importantly, your budget. From your closet, garage, or office, let the expert designers at Artisan Custom Closet help you get organized in any space in your home, from walk-in closets, pantries, garages, and laundry room. This is what they do. Bring some calm and get organized. You can call them at 615-800-2199 or visit artisancustomclosets.com today to book your appointment.
RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast rolls on 615-737-1045. We'll catch you up on what Austin Price told us, what you have missed on the show, everything that we have discussed. We'll recap it for you in the next 15 minutes, coming up at 9 o'clock. So the New York Giants throwback jerseys have made a lot of headlines as becoming the worst uniform maybe in sports, maybe ever, that has ever been constructed. Malik Neighbors has given his thoughts on this. Did you guys see this interview today?
Yep, did see that. Crazy.
LSU wide receiver, now New York Giants wide receiver, Malik Neighbors is not a seasoned vet at lying in the media. When he doesn't like something, he's going to tell you, and he does not like the New York Giants throwback jerseys. This was Malik Neighbors.
The Giants just unveiled their red throwback jerseys. What do we think about that? Give some honest feedback here.
It's going to be hard to swag it out. That's all I got to say about it.
How do you make that look good?
I don't know. I'm going to see when I put it on.
If anyone can make it look good, it's you.
Oh, of course. For sure.
Okay.
First of all, the interview is annoying.
Shoot or shoot.
Sorry.
Shoot or shoot.
Yeah, the microphone a little bit,
Girl
too.
trying to get on scholarship out here. Jeez. Shooters will shoot, baby.
Good
all right,
Lord.
my girl.
Go off, queen.
And he ain't wrong.
Hey.
And he ain't wrong. I mean, nothing wrong about being honest. The jerseys look like Captain America's. I mean, this is just a...
They look like the Montreal Canadiens with the horizontal stripe below the number. It's a blue jersey with a red stripe down horizontally, the middle of it, with like khaki pants, basically. Essentially.
Love that for them. Love that for them.
Maybe
Right?
you get Birkenstock look-alike cleats, and you can just make it look like you're going to work. Like you can just be like business casual because the pants look like khakis.
Yeah, they do. It does. I don't know and understand why. I guess they was just trying to correlate the uniforms back then to the to the workplace, working on the skyscrapers and stuff. I ain't got a clue. Either way, he gonna swag him out. I got a feeling I'm gonna like him by the time the season comes around. That's just me, though. That's just me.
You should always reserve judgment on a jersey until you see it on the field of play in action. That being said, these are the worst uniforms in the history of sports.
Yeah,
pretty
they
bad.
are. My girl out there shooting a shot, though. Shout out to her, man. That's tough.
Oh, my goodness.
Who is that, by the way? I don't know who it is.
It's probably their team reporter.
No, she's with
those are the ones
Sports
that have
Illustrated.
Oh,
she's with
okay.
Sports Illustrated. Yeah. No, she out here just shooting a shot. That's all it is.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. I don't know what this is. This is terrible, though. Worst, I would ask that question, worst throwbacks, but I know y'all going to say the Steelers Bumblebees.
Yours is close up there, buddy.
I know that's what y'all going to say.
It looks...
Same color pants, too. Same color pants. I'm going to argue it's Green Bay. Green Bay's is terrible.
Those aren't great either.
I absolutely hate those.
like Green Bay's.
No, Green Bay's is terrible. You like those because you hate the Steelers. That's why. It's
I
okay.
don't. I like it because they look like they're in jail.
Yes. Do you truly feel like you loved wearing those? Can you really say?
Me?
Put your hand on a Bible and said, yes, I love wearing
100%. I absolutely love those
Did you
jerseys
really?
right there. Yeah, I did.
You thought you looked
because
good in them?
I did look good in them, okay? Ain't no thinking around here, okay? I'm like my girl shooting a shot at Malik Neighbors. There's no thinking, baby. We go. Shoot or shoot, Kayla. You feel me? You feel me?
As far as quality of jersey, the 2009 Tennessee black jerseys were ugly.
Vols?
Ugly.
Yeah.
When Lane Kiffin brought those out on Halloween against South Carolina, and the story behind that was Lane Kiffin last minute asked for black jerseys. Adidas said, there is no way we could possibly get you that quickly. And so they went out to a sporting goods store and bought a bunch of black football jerseys, and they sewed an Adidas logo on them. And then they wore them against South Carolina. And Montario Hardesty put a guy in a spin cycle wearing that jersey.
He did.
He absolutely, he ended that guy's whole career for South Carolina.
Playing in practice jerseys, man. And that's the point, though, Kayla, why I love the Bumblebees, because like guys like playing in alternative jerseys, like alternate jerseys. Like we enjoy the idea that this is different. It looks ugly to y'all. Well, watch me go blast this dude right here real quick, man. You know what I'm saying? Violence, Will, on a day like this, man. We get football
I was going to say, I mean, they're going to be out there playing with violence on the practice field. What did he just say? I totally missed that.
He told me I better pause that. Grow up, will you not, man? I also sent you guys another article, too, in our DM. Yes, I did. It's about Williamson County. You're not going to like it, though.
I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. I was not going to bring this up. I was not going to bring this up. But we're going to do this now because Ramon has started. I leaned down to be a degenerate on Ramon's level. So now Ramon is going to rise up and do my job.
When they go low, we go lower.
Middle Tennessee Electric, a story from Franklin, has identified a reptile invasion as the cause of multiple power outages over the last several days in Franklin. The quote from MTE, snakes have climbed up the steel structure and then onto energized equipment or lines. When they do so, they bridge between the energized equipment and they ground the circuit, which causes breakers to trip, causing an outage. This is at Williamson County Schools. These are places where we live.
Get you some fried snake out here, Will, is what's going to happen, man.
Reptile invasion, they say. There are snakes at a Williamson County substation that have sparked major outages.
Well, just come here if you want to be invaded by cicadas, by now reptiles. Like, this is the place to be. Nashville just gives it all, right?
It's just, you got to figure out how to survive.
Those places looking to have power are suffering from erectile dysfunction. 615-737-1045 is our number. Hour 4 of RKW. We'll try to bounce back from my terrible sense of humor next.
What's going on? Just a hair before 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Quarterback extensions, the topic of conversation after 21 teams reported for OTAs yesterday. One of those teams, quarterback, is not under contract. Tua Tagovailoa, present and accounted for, but no holdout for him. Two sides have been working diligently on a new deal, but nothing imminent yet. Tua is playing in the final year of his rookie deal, playing out the fifth-year option, and the last quarterback from his class to not re-sign with the team that drafted him. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Love all reaching extensions with the team that drafted them. Tua is waiting for the team to sign him. Trevor Lawrence in the same situation. Jags have also been looking on it for an extension. Head coach Doug Peterson says there's only so much he could do to expedite the process, but does admit that the earlier the deal gets done, the better it will be for both parties. Adam Schefter yesterday reporting that Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins still not signed his franchise tender and is not expected to by next week. That would make him ineligible to report back to the Bengals in time for OTAs next week. Higgins won't be able to rejoin the team until he's signed. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show, 9 a.m. in beautiful Music City, USA. Welcome into RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, the best producer in the world. What was it, Brandon in Lebanon yesterday who said that? Whoever it was. They know ball.
Shout out to Bert.
Yeah. I'm Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. We are almost, ladies and gentlemen, of the 1-year anniversary of Bert being the esteemed producer of Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Goodness, and almost our 2-year.
You are aware of this, right, Bert?
Sheesh.
Dang, I don't even know what the first day was. When was our first time?
So I know Schaefer's, Jarvis's last week was Memorial Day week because I'd planned to take that entire week off after Memorial Day. And then I came back Friday. His last show was the Friday after Memorial Day. You were the Monday after Memorial Day.
Wow. Here's to not being fired 1 year in.
And we've got until October 1st when we have our 2-year birthday.
So this is kind of like the dating anniversary, and then y'all's is like the marriage anniversary. Do people do that? I hope when y'all get married, there's only one, right? Because I have enough trouble keeping up with the first date.
Even if there's that.
We got a couple. October 5th.
Wait, how many do you have? The first time you've met, the first time.
Oh, so you got the go together date and the married day.
So you're buying gifts for everyone at the
go together. Is this 1950?
Go together.
We go
together. Keisha and I have been going steady.
We've been betrothed to each other for quite a while now.
Each other. Courting, all those terms right there, man.
I doth protest that you join me for a mead and an ale. At the watering hole.
Oh no!
Everybody said, when was your official? Oh yeah, we go together day.
We go together.
Yeah, we go together. That's what we're doing.
This is in the year of our Lord 2024.
Like what?
Yes, like peanut butter and jelly, like gin and juice. Okay, yes, like vodka Red Bull. Yes, they go together.
I thought you. I know I've told Ramon this story, but I don't know if I've told y'all on the air that Cheyenne and I didn't officially date until we moved in with each other.
Oh.
Because she got a job in Florida. She was going to go work at a yacht club. She's in hospitality. And I had just been like, nah, I don't need a woman. I don't need anybody around. And then so she was about to pack up and head south, and I asked her to move in with me and split my mortgage. I didn't tell her I owned the house until 6 months later.
Oh, so that was what really was behind it. You
I needed somebody to help me on my car note.
Yeah.
That's what old big girl's for. Bring Cheyenne around. Deep pockets.
rooting for Lamar Jackson this year.
The more I think about it, I might have to bend the knee a little bit on that one. I might
literally
if Lamar gets to if Lamar just gets to the Super Bowl, maybe she'll get one. How about that? Wow. I'll be willing to bend my terms just a little bit.
I just want to know, is yacht hospitality called yachtspitality? Because if not, that's a big missed opportunity.
Someone needs to start a company for that.
Yeah. She needs to go on Below Deck, by the way.
Below Deck? Oh my! Don't even get me started. It are these people that work on a yacht club that go out and they have it's a woman show. No offense to the women that watch it, but I have to watch it and I hate it. So that is me. Now I will go Below Deck.
Well, according to Diana Rossini, Cheyenne may be starting off her morning happily today.
Oh.
Diana Rossini, The Athletic, 20 minutes ago. Lamar Jackson looks different this spring. He is intentionally down to 205 pounds, 25 pounds less than his 2022 weight, and lower than last season, where he played at 215. The word in Baltimore from Diana Rossini is this: Slim Lamar could be even faster than the one we've seen in years past.
Me and my dog the same for real. We just alike for real.
He just like us.
He just like me for real.
Dang.
I thought that last year, Lamar, I thought he bulked up for safety reasons, trying to stay out of the way.
He was down 10 pounds last year.
But he still looked thicker to me, though. I thought he had put on some muscle, man. I did. So he did he was clearly bigger. He got slim.
I just get so tired of these stories this time of year.
I love them. No, Will. You gotta don't let it do it to you, Will. You gotta. Football. Everything is a gift, okay? We got real tangible ball being played now, okay? We got people reporting. We got storylines, Will. You don't get tired of this, Will.
It's not that I'm tired of it. It doesn't move the needle for me. Like weight stories this time of year. Because every team is in the best shape they've ever been in. Everybody had a great winter and spring.
That's fair.
And everyone's in great shape.
Yes.
So when you hear these things from agents and coaches, you just tune them out because they don't matter.
Well,
I will let my eyes do the observing for me.
All right, we don't have to do this, okay? 615-737-1045, okay? That number ain't for just like any caller, okay? What we gonna do is this: 615-737-1045. The number's being thrown out again. I'm gonna do it 3 times, okay? 615-737-1045. That's the number, all right?
We have a caller.
Yeah, no. This ain't the caller. What we need here?
This one.
We need all those. The number I just gave out. All the therapists to call in so we can walk ourselves through a little BTS. If you don't know what BTS and you're new to us, it's Battered Titan Syndrome, okay? We also have BVS, okay? Battered Vol Syndrome. If you are a therapist in the area.
How about Battered Vandy Syndrome?
No. Vandy got a couple championships in 19, okay? We're cool with them. We'll let them do
battered.
Yeah, it's just battered.
Because when I think Vandy, I think championships. That's for sure.
Vandy has a lot of good hate in them, okay? And their hate is for us. And I'm okay with that, Caleb. We need therapists to call up here, man, so we can talk my guy Will through. We can talk.
I don't need a therapist. I don't need a therapist because I don't care about what playing weight is in May.
No, it's the idea that you got to enjoy certain things, okay?
I enjoy watching real football and having real observations, not observations such as, he looks in such good shape.
I take this and say, I can't wait till the fall to see if Lamar's faster.
Sure.
And I need you to be more optimistic about that. No, I'm going to say he probably won't be. He damn sure won't be, okay? Not with him getting his face smacked around.
You could have the callers call in and give their weight and height.
Well, that's a part of it, too. We can do that, but I'm trying to give people hope and understanding and joy in the offseason, okay, Kayla? That's my thing.
I have no issue with that.
Bring back a report about Will
I am
Levis,
optimistic. I'm betting the over on the Titans win total for this year. I'm pretty optimistic on this local professional pro football.
I just need you guys to enjoy it a little bit more.
You were just doing my job today.
That's all I'm asking, dog. Is just bring a little joy to it, okay? Let's say I don't need a therapist. Yes, that's the calling card for someone who may benefit from me.
Well, you're not going to find a therapist in the F&M Bank chat. I can promise you that.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
Don't go digging in that place.
You're right. We're 0-0 right now. Okay, and Calvin is looking good. Levis is looking good, and Tavondre is looking good. Amani, and we just got to live in that moment.
Of course, that's fine.
That's all I'm asking.
I have nothing wrong with that.
Okay, all right.
All I'm saying is I would rather just wait and have real observations, because if you listen to reporters and coaches, everyone's going to be in the best shape right now.
Yeah.
And that just can't be true.
Well, the truth is not everybody's in great shape right now.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. I just needed some joy out of Will Bolin this morning. That's all. Not that you've been a Debbie about it, but you don't care, and I care. So I need you to care.
You were talking about snakes, and it put me in a bad mental place.
Mm-hmm.
He needs a therapist for that.
Yeah, they got therapists for that.
I'm good.
Steve Irwin's kid now is doing it.
Ryan in Shelbyville, 615-737-1045. Go ahead, Ryan.
Come on, Ryan.
Oh, my God.
Well, my feelings are kind of hurt because Ramon basically said my call was worthless and doesn't want me to call in.
He's the one that needs the therapist, isn't he, Ryan?
Ryan, don't do that, Ryan. All I'm saying is, unless you're calling in with a therapist badge right now, all right? That's all.
Hey, I'm not a therapist. I am a pastor, and so I feel like I could help
Even
for
better.
a lot cheaper than what those therapists are going to be able to help you with.
Even better.
So, yeah. But Will, humor, man, is always great. I appreciate it, and just because Ramon said what he will, for me, it's, Kayla, I enjoy her humor the best. Will, you're right there, and then Ramon, you're last, buddy. And you can call me. I won't give you my cell phone on the air, but I'll text it to you. I'll find your number somehow. You can call me for your therapy session later. But I'm so disappointed in Bert. So disappointed. If y'all do performance reviews, we need to get some performance reviews. How do we talk about snakes and not cue some Samuel L. Jackson Snakes on a Plane?
Yeah.
How does that not happen? He's always on it, and maybe it's just, he's coming up on the year. He's really just,
nervous.
Getting real introspective. He's thinking too much, Bert, you're better than this. Even though you're a Ravens fan, you're better. But, man, I love the show. Appreciate you guys. Hope y'all have a blessed day.
Appreciate you, man.
Preach, Ryan.
My man is a pastor, and he wants me to play a Samuel L. Jackson clip talking about mother-father planes on this mother-father snake.
Get you a guy that can do both.
What you want me to do with a mother-father snake?
Hallelujah.
On this plane,
That'll
father. Come on, man.
I mean, to be fair, the devil was a snake.
That's true.
Like Satan himself is literally a snake. If you like snakes, you are actively promoting the devil himself.
Bring your ass.
That's what he told the Pastor Chris.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Hey, Bert.
Ryan knows how it goes.
He does. I'm just glad I was last right there. It's probably because of speed purposes, okay? But
goodness.
I love that right there. Appreciate you calling in.
Speed purposes.
Yes, 100%.
You could still beat Buck at a 40.
Oh, no, Buck's training every day. Buck's doing a little CrossFit and stuff, too.
He is not training. He is not training.
I think whoever said this on 3HL, I think is 100% accurate. I forget who made this point, so I apologize. Whoever said Buck started working out and got fit for him for the first time in a long time, that doesn't mean you're fitter than other people who didn't just start working out.
So true.
That's the thing. But since the universe does revolve around Buck, if he works out a little bit, then all of a sudden he is headed to the CrossFit Games on ESPN The Ocho coming up this summer. Give me a break. This guy, Buck could not beat half of the zone talent in a 40-yard dash. I also believe that Ramon could beat Buck in a 40.
Hey,
too.
I love the fact that whenever anybody throws Buck a compliment out there, it's like, no, screw that guy.
Slap him back down.
It's ridiculous.
I'm telling y'all right now, I would not lose. I would trip the hell out of one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm going to push him over.
I promise you. I play dirty.
And then run all over him.
No, I leave. I got to get my speed up at that point, Kayla. I can't wait around him
Leave
to
him
get
in
up.
the dust.
Buck threw a medicine ball against a wall 5 times in an entire year, and all of a sudden he thinks that he is a world-class athlete.
Med balls, man. That's hard work right there, Will.
Those little 5-pound medicine balls really just make you able to beat somebody in a 40. Give me a break.
All I know is he better not swish his hands when he runs.
I just hate.
They better be straight up and down.
I hate that we've taken the bait, but also I don't care. It's June.
We do not care.
Almost. 615-737-1045 is our number. Ron Slay joins us.
Yeah.
I have got an offer for Slay on a business that he could send into bankruptcy. And we'll also talk about Chaz Lanier coming up.
Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon with our friends at Window Nation. Summertime is almost here. We're going to be feeling those hot temperatures, so you want to keep the AC indoors. And it's a great time to check out Window Nation's semi-annual sale. In fact, you can get 50% off all Windows styles now, plus 0 interest for 5 years. And then an additional bonus, yes, we have that for you too in May. You can get that if you schedule an appointment this week.
No doubt about it. And all Window Nation does is windows, man. They are experts at it, okay? They've installed over 200,000 windows last year. If you didn't know, that's 40 times more than the average window company, with 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. And that's because they measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. They have over 20,000 online positive reviews. So if you don't believe me and Kayla, there's over 20,000 people telling you they have the best windows in the industry. As Kayla just told you, call 866-90Nation or go online to windownation.com.
Hour number 4, Tuesday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And in hour 4, I know many of you tune in just to hear the dulcet tones of Ronald Sylvester Slay. In the building.
Yay.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Ron Slay in studio. Slay, I have a proposition for you. Good morning.
What up, dog? Good morning. Good morning, good people.
Hello, Slay.
I know you have made
there we go.
many trips in your day with 3HL to Buffalo Wild Wings. Are you aware of what they're doing?
Is it some foolishness?
It's some foolishness that I would imagine you could get in on.
Oh, I like the foolishness. Okay.
$19.99, all you can eat boneless wings and fries for dine-in customers Mondays and Wednesdays.
$19.99.
All you can eat boneless wings and fries. This sounds like something that you should be interested in. This is not a paid endorsement.
You know
what's
going to get me, though? What's going to turn me off a little bit? The boneless.
I knew you were going to say that.
Give me the wing.
I knew you were going to say that.
Give me the bone-in wing, man.
Deal is available to one person per order.
Because you know what I think they do sometimes? And I listen, Buffalo Wild Wings, this ain't the y'all. I'm just saying I know some people to do these little tricks here and there. And
any wing place.
Yeah, they cake them up. You know what I mean? With all that, and when they deep fry them, and it's all bread, and you like. I remember one time I slid down the Hooters on them when they used to have the Wednesdays, because when they used to have the Wednesdays, dog, you eat Wednesdays. You know what I mean? I come down through there, and I get the bone in. But one time I was like, let me try these boneless, man. Man, me was a little baby nugget, you know what I mean, on the inside. Just a whole bunch of flour. So I said, you know what? So
they're saving costs.
You ain't gonna trick me like that. I'm a real wing eater.
I remember going to a certain place on the way to SEC Media Days in Atlanta, and we stopped at a certain place that I recommended for chicken biscuits. And you have never been angry at me.
No, that was some coleslaw.
You have never been angry at me.
Savage,
he opened this little biscuit, and you looked at me with the biggest look of disappointment, like, really? This is what you're going to give me? And I was like I had cooked it. Like I went back and said, all right, hey, let me hop on the grill real quick. Let me fry up some sausage for my guy.
No. Will Lee had the opportunity to choose somewhere else, but I will, to his credit, though, the little spot was, I'm going to tell him, it was Wendy's.
Yeah.
So the little spot, but that's when them commercials that just came out. But them breakfast commercials just
honey butter
good.
Chicken biscuits.
That's how they got it. They put the honey. They would just say the butter chicken biscuit. I would have passed it up, but that honey on it. I got honey on my shirt. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like Winnie the Pooh in here. I'm like, hey man, honey, do it for me, man. Anytime you put honey on something, I'm on my way.
It was just that little too.
I'm telling you now.
That's
our thing, man.
So
I don't know, Will. I'm gonna have to test that out. And then I ain't no fry guy though. I'm a tater tot. No, I'm a tater tot or onion ring guy when I go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, I don't do the little shoestring fries like that.
Man, you throw that salt and vinegar seasoning on them fries.
That's different, Savage. That's thugging it out right there. Yeah. Okay. Never had it there.
Salt and vinegar seasoning on the fries, man.
Put me on.
I'm trying to. You got to pick up what I'm putting down.
I got it. Okay. Oh, see, I ain't even know nothing about it. But see, can you add that? Use on the little specials. They might be like, no, you got to take them as it is.
Yeah. No, you can add that. You can add that every time.
On this special?
On that special?
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, that's a cheap season. They better throw that in there.
They might want to look a little extra, little 25.
Extra
you got to get to your reps at beat-ups.
I was going to say, you might need to change this $19.99 thing and add some fluff to it.
Yeah, I think it's a little high, honestly, but it is what it is.
I find unlimited wings and fries.
Man, you put it at 10, though, watch how many people come in there. Then that's when you cake up them little boneless.
So that's what Red Lobster going through right now with the endless scrimp.
Problem.
I heard y'all talking about
end of an era.
Yeah, they did wrong.
No, the problem with them was, I'll tell y'all exactly what the problem with that was. Because you go in there.
All the inner fat boys, come on out. Come out the closet, baby. Yeah.
Bring it to the yard.
I knew it couldn't last. We was going to keep talking about it until you came out and joined us.
Well, listen, you know me. I like to eat. I like to eat shrimp, and especially if I can eat as many as I would like to. The problem is they would bring them out so slow to you. You'd be like, can I get 2 shrimp skewers? Can I get a shrimp? No, you can only get 2 at a time. Okay, let me get a shrimp skewer and a shrimp scampi. Well, then you over there eating on the tails, waiting for them to bring some more shrimp out. I thought this was all you could eat, not all you could eat in and out. And as long as you want to sit here,
they're stalling you out. They trying to stall you out.
They need to treat themselves like Fogo de Chao.
Yep.
Fogo de Chao, you got to make them slow down. It's like, man, look, flip my cup over. Y'all going straight.
I thought you were talking about messing up a chow. I didn't know what you said there.
You ain't ever been to the Brazilian steak spots?
Look, listen, that's an upper echelon, man.
No, that ain't burn. I ain't gonna let you do my dog like that. No, that right there cut cost.
Yeah, it does.
That thing ain't that high.
You will love that high.
Man,
okay, well, what is not that high?
A
then?
Brazilian steak spot.
You worry about the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Take our word for it.
We're talking about somebody in here earlier said go to lunch at Roof Chris just for the heck of it, and I'm like, okay.
I got a good lunch special. Of some sort. What? They probably have some kind of lunch special. That's all I'm saying.
Well, all right. We wouldn't know.
I wouldn't either. I've never been there for lunch. The only time you eat Roost Chris for lunch is if you are going to some kind of company dinner and you got leftovers the next day.
Hey, after church on Sundays to do it, though.
Absolutely. I'm sure.
Right. The Brazilian steakhouse might be a slam dunk, but you know who else is a slam dunk? Anthony Edwards.
Hey, yeah.
We going there or Chaz Lanier first?
You take it, whatever. I was trying to get you back on.
I was going to say, what steakhouse in Knoxville you think Tennessee's taking Chaz Lanier to tonight was going to be my bad transition.
You want me to tell you what I think or what I know?
Let's start here. So we had the.
You feel me? Yeah, I mean, I know y'all done had a couple people on, though. Yeah, just saying.
What I want to know is how good are Tennessee's chances at this point of the process?
I honestly think if it was just up to Chaz, I think it would be Tennessee, hands down, no question. I think when you start talking about the things that are involved, as far as the numbers that are involved, you bring in a different. It's a little bit more coming with it. The family comes with that dynamic, because it's just not about you in a sense, even though it should be. But when you get to this point, he's 4 years in. This ain't a high school guy that we're talking about coming out that people trying to get set off. This right here is a senior going to be a fifth-year guy that is like, all right, this right here can honestly set you up. You know what I mean? For a foundation, and you play a little differently. You know, if things didn't go the right way, if he didn't get drafted coming out of this year, it's different going to those camps and you got about $600,000-$700,000 sitting in the bank, rather than, you know, you go into the camps and I got to make this team to feed myself and my family, hopefully at one point. You play differently. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when you start thinking about numbers, whatever it may be, 1.5, 1.7, whatever it may be, you got to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you get back after all of your visits, you get back and you see what's the best fit for you to thrive and what's the main goal. With that being in mind, I think it would be Tennessee. I would say about 75% chance.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's pretty high. You know what I mean? Knowing that it's the three schools that are involved and what they've been throwing out. So
you said something, and that kind of irked me. I'm going to be real with you. You said if it's up to Chaz.
Yeah.
He the one that's got to live on campus.
That's right.
He the one that got to go to school. He the one that got to go hoop. He the one that got to like the coach and the team.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because he's a fifth-year guy, transfer guy, that, look, the amount of money you can get is what the other people getting involved matters? Yeah. And not to say that they're being involved.
Right.
But he the one that's got to be on campus. When you drop your baby off, is it because he's an older guy is the difference?
Absolutely. And I think the only dynamic that changes it is when you get the agents involved. You get an agent involved. I think his family is fine. I think all of that is good. But listen, I dealt with it. I'm loyal to a fault. Savage got the same thing to a fault as well. When you get with a guy and, you know what I mean, you ask him to get this certain number or get out there and fish for me, and he's been rocking with you, you kind of trust in that, and it's hard to say, you know what, I'm off that, man. Let me go do this. It's like, whoa, well, what do you need me for? So you kind of feel a little bit of guilt on the inside, and I think with him going through this for the first time, I think that plays a little bit in it, you know what I mean, as far as the mind game of it. If you could cut that out, I would think it would be an easier decision. Now, it still may take the same time, but I think it would be an easier decision, and we would look at it a little different. Because I was listening to y'all talk, you got to think more so than just if I'm Rick Barnes and I can go and say, this is the number I'm going to do. I'm not going to budge off this number, but this is what I'm going to offer. Even if you take that out of the picture, you're actually going to a situation where this is automatically plug and go. Mm-hmm. There is no, okay, let me try to, all right, we got to get our point guard together where he can get the offense. Okay, wait a minute, we got another guy that we got to try. No, you actually have guys already in place coming back from an Elite 18 where the guys that you lost either didn't play or you, in a sense, got an upgrade. When you think about Tobey, when you think about Jonas Adu, J.P. Estrella, and the big fella Felix coming from Ohio State, that's an upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Especially starting off, when you talk about potential, when you talk about talent, when you talk about length, you talk about athleticism, what it's scoring, what it means, and all of that. That's just the front court. You know, and then you take Freddie DeLeon, he left, DJ Jefferson, he left, but you added Stone. You added Milik, however you say his name, from Charlotte.
Milicic.
You added him as well. Meshack coming back with another year. My young fella, Cam. He's going to come out gunning.
Yeah. Bishop Boswell, incoming freshman at point guard.
You feel what I'm saying? So you actually upgraded a spot where you took DK away from, and you have a spot for where you play as far as production goes. It may be a different style, but the production could be the same. You plug in, there's no other place like that. BYU, most definitely not. Kentucky needs to establish a culture.
Yep.
You know where that coach is coming from. So
you sound like
I know what you do.
You sound like you need to be up there recruiting.
Sound like I was supposed to be up there.
I just think it's interesting, like with BYU being the one that's reportedly dishing out the most in terms of dollars.
Yeah.
And look, I get it that they play in the Big 12. That's a good basketball program or conference in terms of competition. But I still feel like this for Tennessee is a no-brainer. And I'm not Chaz. So I'm not a guy who's looking at money, how it could set me up for the future. But I brought this up earlier, Slay. And speaking of setting up for future, you got to think long-term for some of these guys that have the ability to play at the next level.
Absolutely.
And you've got a prime example of what Dalton connected in 1 year at Tennessee and the attention he garnished and how he furthered his game. And now, look what he's doing at the Combine. We'll see where he's drafted. But I just think that no matter what it comes to in terms of money, if you have a future, why not go to what looks like to be the best fit?
Absolutely.
No matter where money is.
Anything that can springboard you into it is going to be a great situation. And you also notice when you go around to all these meetings, who has the ear of the coaches? You know what I'm saying? Like, who can actually pick up the phone? Who can Coach Barnes pick up the phone and call? Who can his staff pick up the phone and call and say, hey, man, I got a guy right here. What you think? You know, you get an honest, truthful answer when you're talking not only to colleges, but I'm talking about the pro teams that you're reaching out and they are picking up the phone. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I think that plays a part in it. I also think one thing about him and his situation is he comes from a good foundation.
Sure.
From mom, pops, you know what I mean? And the reason I talk so highly of him is because I had the opportunity to coach him for everybody. So his brother, I coached his brother, Trey, also Chaz, when he was coming up. And he's a worker. And they're not a family that is wanting for nothing. But on the opposite end of that, when you see these numbers, you're like, So my whole thing is, and this is what I've been preaching since we ain't really hiding nothing, we talking about it. My thing is, what are you doing to set up yourself not only for the future of you, but for the future of your family?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like my brothers and sisters, if done right, had no problem getting a job outside of my name. You know what I'm saying? Like they could walk in and say, hey man, and once they find out it's automatic, oh man, you Slate. Oh, he went to Tennessee. And the correlation is made. You know what I mean? It works. It does work. And that's because of the hard sweat, tears, dedication, the loyalty that you put into the situation. So you're not only setting yourself up as far as that little lump sum of money, but for the future. Like my little sister's in them 30. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's still working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's some of the things you have to think about. The fan base is strong. I ran into a Vandy fan actually in Publix a little while ago. Well, I went to go get LeRon something. And he was like, dude, I'm going to be honest. I don't like y'all. I said, you know what? I don't like y'all either. And that's good. Perfect. He was like, yeah, that's absolutely. So after our little banter back and forth, he was like, man, I'm going to be honest though. Ain't no schools doing it like y'all right now, man. Y'all got it going. I was like, man, and when you catch it going, you got to kind of ride that wave. When I had the opportunity to go up there, coming off my heels, the Savage walking, like the school was rolling. You feel what I'm saying? Like it was, and I'm not talking about in just football. I'm talking about everything was popping. So you got to take advantage of it, man, especially if you're from here. I think that's the caveat that can't get left out. He's from here.
That's also how I got my job. I mentioned Ron Slay. That's how I'm here.
Oh my goodness!
I hope you're watching on Zone TV for the. No, you go ahead.
Is that what you want to do?
I've been waiting on you to be quiet. Like I said, well, hell, that's how I got this job.
Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to do? Are we transparent?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a break on this Willie. I ain't gonna never listen. Mark my words. And
I was gonna say you don't give people a lot of breaks.
Willie, and if I do, you pull my card on it. I ain't never giving him a break on that again.
Right.
I'm gonna let them play.
You're writing it down. 9:36 a.m. May the 21st.
On the dot.
Ramon Foster does not get another break until 2025.
That's right.
Goodness sakes.
Good. I was waiting. I was like, "Whoa, hell! I got this job too." Mental Ron Slade name, baby.
It is interesting though, Slade, because
I was like a cicada, just running in and stuff.
Laying there dead. Oh, pop back up. There it is.
No, Willie.
Joe, dude. Hey, pop right. I'll be about to step on it.
Every time I think a cicada's dead, oh, pop back up. Nah, he's good.
He's good.
Yeah, just chilling, just vibing. Goodness sakes. Slade, it is interesting though when you talk about the numbers in NIL that Dalton Cadet got last year.
Yeah,
there is no way all the NIL deals that he had lined up were there lined up for him in August.
No,
when he started school at Tennessee.
Yeah,
shouldn't that just be the pitch, right? Of like, if you want to go to the best situation, unquestionably, between Tennessee, BYU, and Kentucky, 2 first-year head coaches with totally new rosters, or play with Sakai Ziegler, Tennessee's the best situation on the court, no question.
No question.
You could still argue then that you're going to get the biggest payday at Tennessee as long as you earn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to earn it.
Absolutely. I think the only problem with it is the market's changed since then. You know what I'm saying? It's been a whole year since that happened. We wasn't hearing about people getting $2 million deals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
like, second team, all SEC guys getting $2 million deals. Like, the other guy that backed out of the draft to go get another $2 million. Like, $2 million is a lot. Like, we weren't even thinking about that last year. This is basketball. We ain't even talking about football. This is basketball. $2 million for guys that are not even established. So I think when you walk into the situation, it depends on them. You have to be able to keep the main thing. And what was your main thing that was going to be have you sold on it for DK? And it's been documented. His thing was, I want to get to the next level. What do I need to do to correct the parts of my game where I can get eyes on me? And he was able to go and do that. From the day, if you were taking Chaz from the day of his visit, just like today, all the way through the entire year, it was set. He knew exactly what it was. He was able to keep the main thing, and it worked out handedly for him. If it were me, I think that would be fine and dandy because you want that league. Like, we're not talking about a guy that's worked his way into the first round. We're talking about a guy that worked his way into the lottery.
Yep.
Like, that's a whole, that's 3 different conversations. You know what I mean? Lottery, first round, second round, undrafted 4. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not a question in my mind because of the plug and go. If it was something else, if he had to go to Arkansas with Cal and work his way, if it was something different, I think this is a unique situation. And I don't know how many times this comes along where you can actually plug. Maybe you need to bring 2 or 3 guys in and you have guys challenged for that spot. You already got guys like Meshack saying, hey, man, if you coming, it's yours. I'm just going to get you better. I know my role. I'm cool. Wow. Like, how many times does that happen? A guy of his status to be able to say, you know what, I'm a challenge, man. No, don't bring dude here. They want him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They begging him. They ask him to come. So that's different.
Coming up, talk a little bit of NBA playoffs with Ron Slay. Make us smarter about what Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, those guys have been able to do over the last few days. Plus, Bussin' with the Boys interviewed Brian Callahan. We can react to what he said about J.C. Latham, a cool quote on the new Titans left tackle next. Wrapping up the show, RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast. The Buck Rising Show has you covered on a Titans OTA day next. Congratulations real quick as well to our good friend Lucas Panzica.
Congrats.
Who is in the building and is back on the Buck Rising Show today. He is engaged to be married, as Michael Scott would say.
It all went well, too, it sounds like.
It did. Went out of the country, came back and engaged, man. That's crazy.
That.
We've got Ron Slay in studio. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA playoffs, but first I wanted to play Brian Callahan on Bussin' with the Boys. Will Compton, Taylor Lewan brought Brian onto the bus. I'm told that he was asked the Mike Vrabel question of what he is willing to do to win a Super Bowl as well. I've not yet heard his answer.
Oh.
So you'll have to tune into Bussin' with the Boys to hear if he is cutting off any appendages in order to win a Super Bowl the way the previous head coach did.
Oh, boy.
But he did talk about J.C. Latham and had an interesting answer on the Titans left tackle.
With J.C. drafting him, getting your first opportunity to get your hands on him a little bit, is there anything that surprised you about him that you thought maybe he didn't have, or is he as advertised in your mind so far?
He's as advertised. I mean, we felt like there was two linemen that we felt like were worthy of top 10 picks, and that's Joe Alt and J.C. and the two guys that we were like, either one of those guys we'll happily take.
Yeah.
If they're available to us, and thankfully JC was, and he's everything we thought he was going to be, and he's got a super high ceiling because he's just got all these physical tools that he doesn't even really know how to use them all yet, you know. But yeah, super talented, great kid, all the things you could want in an offensive lineman.
Was there a fear for you, him playing his whole career on the right side, now moving him to left?
No, because, one, it's been done before. Guys have transitioned from right to left. He played left in high school. So it's not like he's never been in a left-handed stance.
Right.
Played 4 years at Alabama because he had to with Evan Neal. And then I think it was Tyler Steen, maybe. But so they had guys that left, and then they had a 5-star recruit come in, and he'd already played a couple years over there, and they were like, well, this is our chance to get our best 5 guys. Well, you're comfortable there. We'll leave you there. But he's fully capable of playing left tackle. I think he's probably comparable to like what Tyron Smith was. Tyron came out as a right tackle, played right tackle for a year in the league, and then they moved him to left in that transition. Obviously, that worked out great for him and for them. He just did it with Jedrick Wills in Cleveland. Jed played on the right in Alabama and played left when he got to Cleveland for the last 4 years now. So not unprecedented.
Yeah.
And he's got the talent to do it. So
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that he's a good dude, because I got worried.
There you go.
There you go.
What do you get worried about?
I wish Coach Callahan would have told
You ain't
him.
got to call out my bad edits, Kayla.
Hanging.
You can't you got to go listen to Bussin' too, dang it. You know what I mean? I'm an octopussing back here. I got one leg on a keyboard, one thing on the regular board.
Give you a pass there, I guess.
I wish Callahan had just told him, I don't live in my fears, Taylor.
Hey.
He just left it right there. What are you fearful of? I don't have no fears. I don't live in them.
There you
go. You should have hit him with an AFC North right there.
We will react to more of that tomorrow on Brian Callahan on Bussin' with the Boys. Slay, Anthony Edwards is him.
Yeah.
About simply as I could put it.
Yeah, man. The man
He's that
is
guy.
good. The man is good. Especially, it's almost an outlier because in today's age, we sit there and talk about it all the time, like guys being one-dimensional or just automatically locked in on the scoring aspect of the game, and that's it, the highlights, and, it's hard to move on. I think the company that he's in, I think the difference you start to see with those guys was those guys were making first-team All-NBA, and then turn around on the opposite end and being first-team all-defense as well. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking about the Jordans, the Kobe's, D-Ways, the guys in that two-guard conversation, it's a little different because of being able to play on both ends of the floor. And in today's age where it's about the 3-ball, shoot from deep, see how many you can score, who you can dunk on, he wasn't having a good game. And for him to get over that hump, he had to take on the challenge to stop Jamal Murray, and did that. And when you say stop him, just make it more difficult on him. So that breaks the offense for everybody else. When you don't see that shot go in, all of a sudden now your confidence is a little shaken because your guy, the leader, Jokic, he ain't making the shot. Jamal ain't making the shot. And then it trickles on down to everybody else. That's started by him. You know what I mean? He spearheaded the effort. So then you also got to love the confidence that he gives guys like Gobert and Cat. Like anytime you bring them up to me, Cat's soft. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts.
Call
everything.
Anthony Towns.
Yeah. But mannerisms, voice, his walk, his hair, like everything. Yeah, it's all
his voice.
Yeah,
his clothes.
That's just how you like K-Dot, man. You know what I mean?
Google that.
So
if you're
it's like all of it. And then Rudy Gobert comes in with the French mannerism and characteristics, the way he's thought to be. It's like we cool on that, but. When you see your leader playing the way he is and talking the way he is, it's either, you gonna let me walk out here in front of this this army by myself, and I'm just gonna stand there and fight, or y'all gonna come with me. And they decided to come with him because Cat balled. Karl-Anthony Towns balled that last game.
I was asking questions. Why is he around the 3-point line? Yeah. Next thing you know, AE missed a shot. He comes in and bang. That's the deal.
That did it. So you gotta give him credit, man. It's big time for him. He is that guy.
You got a situation before the first games come up. Luka can get his first one.
Yep.
AE can get his first one. Jalen can get his first one. And you also have, who am I missing? Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
4 young cats that can get their first one, man.
It's all in good spots. All in good spots for them. I think the X factor for these guys is the teams that you name, like Boston. You got to look who has one. Drew Holiday. He already got a championship. He brings that championship mindset to him. As far as Halliburton goes, those guys are out there with Pascal Siakam.
They beat him at the Garden.
Yeah, ain't no question. No, he handled it. That's what I'm saying. Siakam is a leader. He has a ring. And then when you look at Dallas, it's the same thing. Who has a ring? Kyrie got a ring. So Ant-Man and them are kind of on the out as far as who you going to have. You got a leader, a veteran leader in Mike Conley Jr., who's been there to the mountaintop, never been able to win it. But it's gonna be interesting to see how those guys come along because the stars gonna be the stars.
Yeah.
But when it come down to it, you need somebody to tilt the scale. Who's gonna do it? Big Cat did it in that last game. Halliburton, he turned it on. Siakam's the leader, but Halliburton turned it on. You look at Dallas, the same thing. Kyrie, he closed that thing out. It's about what it is. So who's gonna answer that bell? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, what y'all gonna do?
Real quick, do you like the fresh blood in terms of winning every year? Is that good for the game? Somebody didn't get my comment earlier about having a villain who wins it year after year after year.
Yeah.
But
no,
do you like
I think
that?
It's good. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I also think it's good for the game when guys repeat. You know what I mean? Or three-peat. You had those dynasties because, as we can see, it's hard to just repeat. Dallas probably had the best team, just didn't have the depth. But the better team won in that situation. All it takes is one game. So, yeah, give me the bad guy all day long.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Ron Slay, 3 to 6 weekdays on the Zone 3HL, where you listen. Subscribe to their podcast feed as well. Thank you, sir.
No doubt.
Back at it tomorrow. OTA takeaways. Rhett Bryan, Ramon Foster sent us over.
I got to remember, good people, at all times, with the fingers in your mic is always hot, and kill as many cicadas as you can. Okay, thank you.
And it'll be Roof Chris
and snakes.